Jets Nation, welcome back to another Jets Media live stream. Today is a great day to be a freaking New York Jets fan. He fires it over the middle, touchdown! Garrett Wilson! The New York Jets tie the football game! It's a toss to Breece Hall. Breece Hall cuts up the middle. Breece Hall's loose. Breece Hall's gone. Breece Hall is gone. He walks into the end zone. That's a Jets touchdown. Sauce Gardner's there for the game winner. That's New York Jets. New era Robert style of football right there. Breaking news. The New York Jets got him. Aaron Rodgers is officially a member of the New York Jets. The vibe amongst his fan base is just a really awesome thing to watch our fans have a reason to be excited. This Jets team is ready to take flight this year.
We're going to show the world today what Jets football is about. Let's go. All we need is us. All we need.
I got high expectations for them, and you should too. I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys. Let's go Jets. Jets. Jets, let's go! Yo, what is good, Jets Nation? We are live here with Matt O'Leary in the studio for the first time. We got an interesting show today because we're going to be breaking down that Jets and Cowboys matchup yesterday. The Jets lose 30-10 and are now 1-1 on the season. We have a jam-packed show today. We got special guests lined up. Jack, welcome to the show as usual.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you for having me as always. And welcome our buddy, Mr. Matt O'Leary.
Look at this, a little Jets YouTube collab in person. It's rare that we get to do these kind of things in person, but excited to be in the Jets Media Studios and break down this game.
Let's go. I promise you next time, Matt, we have you, it's going to be a Victory Monday instead of suffering a loss. I know that this would be a lot better if the Jets did come out on top with that W yesterday. Well, we're going to break it all down in this show, guys. If you guys can do us a gigantic favor, simply hit that thumbs up on your way into the show. And, of course, check out Matt O'Leary NY on all your social medias, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. He's been killing it over there as usual. And it's a pleasure to have you on, the first ever in-studio guest, Matt.
Yeah, this is awesome. I am very envious of your little setup here, but I'm definitely going to be hitting you up to collab in here. This is so sick. I'm so excited that you guys are able to do this too. Like, congrats on that. That's really a big deal for both you guys. It's great content, and you know that's even better for us doing this now, right?
I appreciate that, man. It's exciting, man. And of course we're Long Island boys, so we're very close to each other. So it was only right. So let's get straight into business, chat. We're going to be very interactive with you. We're going to open this up to call-ins at the end of the show as well, so stay tuned, guys. But let's get straight into business. Jack, you wanted to talk about something first?
Yeah, unfortunately, guys, if you listened to last week's episode 2 of the Jets Media Podcast, we did it earlier than we did it today because last week was game day on Monday, so we did not get to discuss any of the fallout from that game here on the Jets Media Podcast. Obviously, I'm sure you guys have heard it all week from other videos that Richie's made, other videos that Matt has made. I made a video because it affected me so much. So it's only right to to talk about it one more time on this platform. So here we go, man. As you guys know, Richie and I were at the game last week. Vibes were immaculate to start off. The tailgate was incredible. The AFC East Roundtable show that they did was incredible. The team intros at the stadium, electric, craziest stadium environment I've ever been in. I think Richie can say the same for himself. And 4 plays in, guys. 4 plays in.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even put in the words. Of course, we have to talk about this because we haven't talked about it in the pod yet. But listen, man, that game was disgusting from the start, but they came out and fought and got that W for Aaron Rodgers in against the Buffalo Bills, who, by the way, just absolutely steamrolled the Raiders, and Josh Allen looked like a great quarterback, and I think that's a big testament how the Jets looked against Josh Allen. So, Matt, my question to you is, after seeing what the Jets did to Josh Allen, after seeing what Josh Allen did against the Raiders, and then seeing what the Jets defense looked like against the Dallas Cowboys, what's your thoughts about this defense?
Yeah, it's definitely surprising, right? Because in week 1, they were stellar against a fantastic quarterback in Josh Allen, creating those turnovers. They had 4, and it honestly should have been more, whether it was the C.J. Mosley dropped interception, or you also had the whistle that was blown on what would have been a fumble 6. So yet another turnover. Could have been up to 6, but it was very, very different. They were getting a ton of pressure. They were, making life very, very difficult on Josh Allen in week 1. And in week 2 against Dak Prescott, did not see that same pressure, unfortunately. That was, I think, a big issue in the game yesterday against Dallas, was that defense was not getting the same pressure that they were in week 1. And they weren't able to hold up. They just made life too easy for Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I mean, the defense was such a disappointment yesterday. I mean, the first drive, the Dallas Cowboys just go down the field and score 7 points with ease, and then they had so many missed opportunities. And the defense was on the football field. It felt like, 42 minutes out of a 60-minute game. That's ridiculous. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys' approach to that game was unfortunately masterful, and I think that they exploited the Jets' weakness, and they wanted to have an up-tempo offense, keep the Jets' defensive line tired, and just run the ball and short intermediate passes and get rid of the ball fast and quick, because the Jets' pass rush wasn't terrible, but the issue was they couldn't sack the quarterback. They had 1 sack, which was Solomon Thomas. They got to Dak Prescott, but every time they got to Dak did a phenomenal job of getting rid of the ball quick and on time, in rhythm, and the Jets were playing some zone coverage, which I really think they should man up a little bit more, because it was a big, big disappointment. So, Jack, what was your overall thoughts from the defensive performance yesterday from the Jets?
Yeah, man. Not up to standard. I think the secondary was getting gashed. I think CeeDee Lamb had a career day. I mean, he definitely had a career day in terms of receptions. He caught 11 passes yesterday, which was a career high for CD. And it seems like we couldn't find a way to stop him. And I think that, I don't know if I guess I'll put some of this on Jeff Ulbrich and on Robert Saleh. It looks like, there was no attempt to make any adjustments to kind of shut him down. I mean, I know we were dealing with a lot of injuries in the secondary yesterday through the second half of the game, but is it a crazy request to have Sauce Gardner shadow the guy who's, destroying us? It seems like every time the ball gets thrown his way. I don't think so. I think that's the player Sauce wants to be. If he wants to be a true shutdown corner, let's put him on the best receiver. And, maybe CeeDee Lamb wouldn't have had 11 receptions yesterday, especially once Michael Carter got injured. It was, it looked like he was having fun up against Brandon Echols, and Brandon Echols is a good depth player, but clearly can't hang with a bona fide number 1 receiver like CeeDee Lamb. So I think the secondary got pretty good and gashed yesterday and a little bit humbled. Obviously, like I said, we were dealing with some injuries. I think the defensive line obviously was a bit of a letdown yesterday as well, only getting to the quarterback 1 time. Solomon Thomas with the only sack of the day, getting some pressures here and there. But, I mean, you got to give – I think ultimately what it comes down to is you got to give a lot of credit to the Dallas Cowboys, man. They're a really good football team. They proved it 2 weeks in a row. They swept New York City football. And, they got one more matchup against the Giants, obviously. We'll see how that goes. But
they're going to destroy them again.
Probably. Most likely. But, the defensive line just didn't come to play. Overall, I was disappointed in the defense yesterday. I thought they were going to come out with a little more fire and aggression, and they kind of just looked lost.
Yeah, and the Jets defense gives up 2 touchdowns, and then in the second half, they don't give up a touchdown. They give up 5 field goals. But still, it's not to their standard. And when you flip it on its head and talk about the offense, obviously, the elephant in the room is Zach Wilson and his performance. Listen, my biggest gripe about the offense, what we saw yesterday, was obviously the offensive line and the run game. I mean, we talked about all week long heading into this game that the key to victory with Zach Wilson is establish a run game and defend. And they did not do either of those things. And when you don't have a run game, it's hard to ask a lot from your quarterback. And my question to you, Matt, let's get straight into Zach Wilson, because I know that everybody is, criticizing Zach, obviously, rightfully so, after seeing his stats. I mean, it's pretty disgusting if you look at it. 12 for 27, 170 yards, a touchdown, 3 interceptions, 38 rating with 36 rushing yards. Now, Zach had a really good start to the game. His first 3 quarters, I was very impressed. He looked calm, poised, making the right throws. And then the fourth quarter, when they were down by 3 scores, he had to force things, which resulted in bad after bad after bad. So what was your overall thoughts of what we saw from Zach Wilson as the quarterback?
Yeah, so this is, I think, going to be a very nuanced conversation, or at least I think it should be. So earlier this morning before coming in, I did a video really breaking down Zach's performance, and the reason why I wanted to focus specifically on him is because I think there's really so much that goes into it. As you mentioned, the first 3 quarters of this game, he looked like he could be that game manager. And to me, I wouldn't say that I was blown away by his first half or the first 3 quarters of the game, but he was fine, which is really all you should be asking of your backup quarterback. Forget that he was a number 2 overall pick. Forget all the expectations you may have had for Zach Wilson at one point. He's now at this point this team's QB2. He's the backup, and he has to come in because Aaron Rodgers got hurt. And he's coming in and he's managing the game and playing relatively well. But the interceptions at the end, I get it. They were down 17 points. They weren't in the game. He was trying to throw them back into the game. But he was really far down the list of things for me that I thought was why they lost this game. Zach Wilson was not the reason why they lost this game. Now, you can't have some of those throws at the end when you're down. That can't translate. And he is still statistically the worst quarterback in the NFL under pressure since he's come into the league.
70% pressure.
Yeah, right. You're letting he was getting pressured entirely too often. So that is part of it was schematically. I thought Nathaniel Hackett did a terrible job. And number 2, the offensive line absolutely stunk. But with Zach under pressure has to get better. And we know from the last 2 years how often New England likes to blitz and bring the pressure against Zach Wilson. That's my fear, is that New England's just going to come out, they'll zero blitz. Sam Darnold seeing ghosts against the zero blitz, and then Zach Wilson struggles against the New England Patriots. That's a very tough defense to go against. But, for Zach, I thought it was really a tale of 2 halves. First half was that game manager you need him to be. Second half, there were some okay moments there as well. But then the interceptions came when things got out of hand and he melted down a touch.
I agree. And I think this is my personal take on this whole situation. Zach Wilson deserves all the criticism, but I don't agree with the people that are your biggest takeaways from this game. We need to do quarterback. He lost us this game. I disagree. We lost this game as a team. The defense let this team down. The offensive line let this team down, and the quarterback and the coaching staff. If you're going to say the quarterback is the reason we lost, you got to say in the same breath of the entire squad. When Zach Wilson started playing like crap, they were down by 3 scores. So I'm not giving Zach any pass for his terrible performance in that fourth quarter, because you want your quarterback to be able to fight back. But still, stop saying, oh, we lost because our quarterback stinks. When reality is, he was playing good football, all of a sudden 3 scores down. So if you're going to put that much criticism at Zach, which he deserves, don't forget to put the same criticism on the coaching staff, on the offensive line, and Dwayne Brown, who really looks like he should be retiring right now, in my opinion, based off what Micah Parsons did to his washed-up ass. And then you're talking about this defense not playing to their standard. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that Zach Wilson did not look like an absolute terrible quarterback in that fourth quarter with those 3 turnovers. But I personally, when I make a tweet and I ask for your biggest takeaways, and I see constantly people saying, we need a new quarterback, Zach sucks, he's the reason we lost. My personal opinion is, we didn't lose because of Zach Wilson. He was a part of the loss, but he didn't lose us this game. There were times last year where Zach lost us the game. Many times where we saw Zach Wilson, we would have won if we had a good quarterback. That wasn't yesterday. That wasn't the game where you're thinking to yourself, if we had a good quarterback, we would have won that game. And my question to you guys is, with Aaron Rodgers out there even, would he survive with Micah Parsons coming after him 70% of the time? And this isn't really an excuse for Zach, because he needs to step up. But my point is, we got to put the same criticism around the team that we're putting on the young quarterback.
I agree, man. And listen, I think most of you guys in the chat that know me, you know that I've never been the biggest Zach Wilson fan. Supported him since day one, since when he became the New York Jets quarterback. We took him 2nd overall. All right, he's our guy. Let's see what he's got. But I did not want to draft Zach Wilson. Just a little disclaimer. because you know, I'm going to be honest with you guys. While Matt and Richie are absolutely right, I do not blame this loss on Zach Wilson. My faith in Zach Wilson is pretty much gone, man. It's at an all-time low. Just keeping it real with you guys. I understand, you know, again, I will repeat, he was not the reason that we lost that game yesterday, but I also have not seen it in him where he can be the reason that we win. You know, I have not seen that, you know, that clutch gene, if you will. I don't know, man. I feel like, you know, we're trying to, I see, you know, and I get it because we're all crazy Jets fans. We want this team to succeed. I get it, believe me. But when I log on to Twitter and I see, you know, people going nuts because Zach Wilson made, you know, a throw that any third-year quarterback in the NFL should be able to make in his freaking sleep, it kind of bothers me a little bit. And I know it's coming from a positive place because we just lost Aaron Rodgers and we have to, you know, make do with what we have. But I feel like every time I watch Zach Wilson play, his ceiling gets lower and lower and lower. And listen, no quarterback in this league is going to thrive when they're being pressured 70% of the time they drop back to pass. It's ridiculous. It is. But it's these same mistakes. I mean, even going back to week 1, we won the game. Fantastic. Zach, you know, had a decently good outing. Josh Allen was a turnover machine, but the one pick that Zach Wilson threw was the most egregious turnover of the day, I think. I mean, he threw it right to Matt Milano, as if Matt Milano was wearing a Jets jersey. So I feel like while it's, you know, certainly our best option for right now, unfortunately, my Zach Wilson hype is at a complete standstill. And, you know, it's early in the season. We got plenty of games left to be played. We got 15 football games yet to be played. This offensive line did not get a lot of time in training camp to gel with each other. We all know that. We know that's very important for an offensive line. But I don't know, man. It's tough for me to envision it getting better. And I know we're not gonna play against, you know, Micah Parsons every week. Thank God we don't have to see that guy for another 4 freaking years.
That guy is the best defensive player I've ever seen in my life.
Unless we see him in the Super Bowl, which
yeah,
you know,
we are.
We'll see. But yeah, man, I think that, you know, and I got a lot of blame to throw around, not just on Zach, but I feel like while we're talking about Zach as an individual, I feel like I've kind of seen it all at this point. I mean, you know, what has he really shown us? Little flashes in the pan here and there. I don't think he's shown us enough at all, not even close, where we can, you know, have faith in this guy to get us into the postseason this year.
Yeah.
Not with what we saw yesterday.
I mean, the reality is the Jets went after Aaron Rodgers for a reason, because they benched Zach Wilson last year, and Zach Wilson lost his confidence. And they were winning with Zach when he came back from injury early last year. And then when Brees goes down, AVT goes down, the running game disappears, Zach Wilson disappeared, and that's when they had the change to Mike White. And I think, now this is something I want to get your guys' thoughts of, because I tweeted this out, and this could be a coaching staff fault. And it's not really making excuses for the coaching staff because they need to figure this freaking thing out. But Nathaniel Hackett, Todd Downing, the entire offensive coaching staff was game planning the entire offseason around Aaron Rodgers. The whole system, the whole scheme, everything was around Aaron Rodgers. His nuances, his game checks, his rhythm, his timing, everything. And I think this coaching staff is not prepared to have Zach Wilson as the quarterback. As much as they have to be prepared in a hyper speed because he got injured in week 1 and there's no excuse, and you're an NFL coaching staff, you got to make an adjustment. But I genuinely believe that right now, what we saw against the Dallas Cowboys, Nathaniel Hackett is not prepared because he spent his entire offseason, as he should, preparing to get this offense clicking with Aaron Rodgers. So, Matt, what's your thoughts of the coaching staff and their overall, you know, ability to game plan around Zach Wilson? Do you think they're ready to do this? Do you think that they're going to be able to learn as the season goes on?
I hope so, because they weren't ready this past week. And you're right. While they were absolutely, trying to prepare for this offense with Aaron Rodgers, it's not rocket science, though, with Zach Wilson. They were running way too much 11 personnel with 3 wide receivers on the field, where their offensive line was getting absolutely cooked, and they refused to put their best blocking tight end, Jeremy Ruckert, in the game. He played 4 snaps.
And one of those snaps, he destroyed somebody.
Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. They refused to run to the right side of the line. They only did it twice. And they barely ran the ball to begin with. Brees Hall, 4 touches is just an absolute disgrace. It's an abomination. But then at the same time, like, you're lining CJ Uzomah, you have him on the field and you're lining him out wide. Why? That's not his strength. That's not what he's good at. They can't get Mecole Hardman on the field and put him in that spot. Like, I don't understand the personnel usage. I thought was absolutely horrific. You know, they really did a good job, I thought, in the game against the Bills where they were put in a pinch. They had to go to Zach Wilson, and they ran a lot of 3 tight ends. They demanded that they carry a fullback. Bowden played 2 snaps. What? That's just wasting a roster spot. You got to use the guy, like especially when you're with your backup quarterback. So I think the personnel usage was absolutely horrific from Nathaniel Hackett. And it really shouldn't be that hard. You're going up against a great defensive line, and your offensive line is struggling. Get more tight ends out there. Put a fullback in. Chip at Micah Parsons. Like, do something, and they just refuse to.
Yeah, and the fact that Breece Hall got 4 touches makes me sick to my stomach. I mean, I tweeted a stat this week that Zach Wilson's undefeated with Breece Hall, 5-0. Oh, he's undefeated with Breece Hall? Let's give him 4 carries. Now, listen, I know he had 2 drops in his screen passes, but still, you got to feed Breece Hall. Maybe he's on a pitch count, and they don't want to force feed him the ball in a game where you're losing.
Even if he's on a pitch count, 4 carries.
Ridiculous. I mean,
come on.
And also, the run game is supposed to be the bread and butter of this team, and it is hard to establish a run game when you run the ball in first down, and CJ Uzomah gets blown up, and then it's a loss of 4 yards, and they set up for 2nd and 14. You know, so I understand there's a lot of factors that weighed into the run game not working, which resulted in Zach Wilson having to try to throw the football, which obviously is not our strength here. So overall, I'm just really upset with this offense, and I'm hopeful that we just went up against a powerhouse defense against the Cowboys, and they can kind of use that as a time, because this is where we really get a good idea of this New York Jets football team in adversity. How can they battle? How can they fight back? How can they adjust? Because they got a big test, which is probably the game, you know, the biggest game of the year already, and it's week 3, but I'm going to say it's a must-win against the New England Patriots.
100% it's a must-win. And real quick, Highlander Prime in the chat. Jack, focus on Zach's positives, and you'll see the improvements. Took Peyton Manning 48 games before he turned the corner. Have patience. Did you just say have patience to me, my friend? I appreciate you tuning into the podcast. Appreciate the support. Patience? That is the worst word you can say to a Jets fan. Patience. I've been patient for 25 years, my friend. Aaron Rodgers comes to town, last 4 plays. You're telling me to be patient with Zach Wilson, who's in year 3, by the way? It's not like Zach Wilson is a rookie. He's in year 3 in the NFL. And he stinks. Let's keep it real. The guy can't play. The guy's a backup at best, and you're telling me to be patient. Come on, man. Give me a break with that. No. Moving on, though. Nathaniel Hackett, yeah, I was disappointed yesterday. O'Leary, you hit it right on the head, man. The use of the personnel was head-scratching. CJ Uzomah is clearly not a guy to line up on the outside. But my question is, where does he fit in? Does he have a strength? I don't know. We've yet to see it in terms of being in a New York Jets uniform. Every time he was out there blocking yesterday, he got absolutely exposed. We can't line the guy up wide. We have Jeremy Ruckert, who's younger, fresher, better blocker, ready to go. I think it's time to make a little adjustment on the tight end depth chart, if you ask me. But the abandonment of the run game, personnel all over the place. And I will say this as well. If you're bringing in a 40-year-old quarterback, you better have a plan for the backup. This shouldn't be, you know, a new idea in their head. Oh, wait, Aaron could potentially get hurt. You're bringing in a 40-year-old quarterback. Yes, he's one of the greatest ever, absolutely. But that doesn't matter, man. The human body ages at the same rate for everybody, you know? Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old. You have to expect, I mean, obviously no one thought he was going to miss the whole freaking season, but I 100% thought that we would see Zach Wilson for 3 or 4, maybe 5 games this season, you know, depending on Rodgers' health. Obviously, here we have a whole season of Zach Wilson ahead of us, but you can't tell me that this offensive coaching staff, you know, shouldn't have had a plan in place for when Zach Wilson is the guy, you know, because I felt it was kind of inevitable, whether it was for 1 game, 2 games, an entire freaking season, which is what we're currently dealing with. But, you know, as great as Aaron Rodgers is, you're bringing a guy of his advanced age to play quarterback in this crazy league now where we have these freakish defensive linemen that are just so big, so strong, and so fast. As we saw yesterday with Micah Parsons. Can you imagine Rodgers in that game yesterday? He would have gotten decapitated.
That's what I'm saying, too. Chat, please answer this question. Do the Jets win this game with Aaron Rodgers out there? Like, do they win with Aaron Rodgers out there? Because I really feel like the entire team played like crap, including the quarterback. And I don't even know if Rodgers would have played good. I mean, you're asking a 39-year-old to deal with a 70% pressure rate. Like, what would have Rodgers done in that game, Matt? What's your thoughts? And I know this is going to be the season of the what-if game. What if Rodgers was in the game? Because we'll never be able to see him in a full game this season unless that man comes back for the – I'm not going to get into that. But, Matt, what's your thoughts about, like, hypothetically speaking, how do you think the team would have looked with Aaron out there opposed to Zach?
I don't think it would have mattered. I really don't. I think they still lose that game. To me, the defense was just that was the thing that upset me the most is, this team, they have – they were talking about comparing themselves to 85 Bears, and they have all this potential in the world. And they do. They do have a lot of potential. But they got embarrassed against that Dallas Cowboys team. That defense was embarrassing. They couldn't tackle, and there was just way too many mistakes on that defensive side of the ball. It would have been closer. I don't think they would only put up 10 points, but I don't think they win that game with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback because of just how bad the run game was, how bad the offensive line was, but more specifically that defense.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would have been a long day for Aaron. And obviously we probably would have had more juice and more splashy plays and maybe more points. But, you put in consideration how the defense looked for the Jets, how the run game looked, and the offensive line looked. Aaron can only do so much. And when we brought him in, we all said to ourselves, we're not bringing in Aaron to be the savior here. He doesn't need to, carry this team and be MVP Rodgers. We need him to be just good enough because the team is so good around him. And the team around the quarterback played like crap, which is going to result in our young quarterback to play like crap as well.
I'm excited to get Rodgers back on the East Coast, man,
Yes.
because his presence is just everything. I mean,
I know,
it really
man.
is. This team looked different yesterday without Aaron Rodgers being there. Obviously, he's not going to play. Without Rodgers, in the building during the week, on the sideline during the game, I feel like these guys see his face and they feel it. Okay, we got to go out there and we got to play our best. And it was a completely different New York Jets team than what we saw a week ago against the Buffalo Bills.
Andy Johnson with the $5 super chat. Real take. You can't be patient with this team when you when now and it's boom or bust. Another Rodgers is gone. It looks over. This is a Buffalo Bills fan, by the way. Shout out Andy. As usual, I'm using my profile picture of me in misery. I know that you love that, Andy. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to be patient with the team when
1-1, Andy.
we all know that this Jets team is in a window to win right now. There's no sugarcoating that. I mean, we have studs across this team on rookie contracts, and we have to win now. There's no sugarcoating that. So I'm not going to sit here and say the season's over. I really don't believe that because I think that it's only 2 weeks in and the Jets are 1-1 and like half the NFL is 1-1. I mean, we are right behind the Dolphins, one game back in division. I mean, this game's right here. If we beat the Patriots, we're 2-1. I mean, listen, it's a week-by-week league. We are going to be frustrated. We are going to be upset after losses. But even going into this game, and I know this, I don't want to make it sound like I have a loser's mindset, but like heading into this game, Matt, I felt, and I said this before the game, that if we lose, it's not going to be the end of the world because if there are games you want to lose to, it's the NFC teams. And even before the season start, Matt, I said with Rodgers that I want to head into the bye week 3-3 because of how gauntlet the schedule is to start off the season. And we're 1-1, and now we get to 2-2 in the next 4 games, and we'll be 3-3 by the bye week. And that's kind of how I've looked at it. So what's your thoughts of that?
No, that's totally fair. And for me, I know at some point on this show, I'm sure we'll get into it and look ahead. But even before this game, something that I was saying is really for not only this team, but more specifically Zach Wilson, I care more about the New England game coming up in week 3.
Give me a Dallas L if that means we're beating the Patriots any day of the week.
No, 100%. And Dallas is a really, really tough team. Now, to be fair, I thought with how good the Jets defense was, I thought they'd be in the game. I thought it'd be a low-scoring game, 19-16, 16-13, something like that. And if you told me that they were going to lose 30-10, I thought I would have thought Zach Wilson threw for 50 yards and threw 5 interceptions. But give me the win or the better performance against the New England Patriots. Your division games matter significantly more. Your games in conference matter significantly more, and just the level of competition. Like New England is not the same team that Buffalo is or that the Dallas Cowboys in. So now's your test. We'll see how legit this like Zach Wilson rebrand is, or if this coaching staff has, a lick of confidence and could do something and bounce back. This is your test against New England because it's now or never for me at this point.
Absolutely, and this is it. I mean, we haven't beat the Patriots in feels like my entire life since that can't wait game.
But in
Almost
reality,
half of our lives.
yeah, it's honestly disgraceful. But listen, man, both games against the Patriots. So we're gonna get into the Patriots in the back end of the show to kind of talk about week 3 coming up. But both games against the Patriots, the Jets played well. In terms of like the defensive effort. It's just a matter of this offense can figure it out. Remember, Zach had like 350 yards against the Patriots last year, but had back-breaking turnovers that really ate that game. And then the other game was in New England with those wind gusts. It was 3-3 all the way until the final moment with that punt return for the touchdown. So the Jets were right there to beat the Patriots twice and wasn't able to do it. And I think this Jets team has put so much effort into the division opponents this offseason, where we saw what they did against the Buffalo Bills. And the Buffalo Bills proved against the Raiders is they are a really good football team, and Josh Allen is a darn good quarterback. And that tells you all you need to know about how prepared this Jets team is against their division rivals. Now, that statement I just said, we'll be able to really see against the Patriots on Sunday. But, going up against a team that you only see once every 4 years, in this Cowboys team, I'm not going to really be that upset over this L if we go out there against the Patriots. Obviously, if we do take an L, you want it to be a better performance, have a little bit more positives, because we literally only had one positive in that game, which was the sensational touchdown from Garrett Wilson. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel about the division opponents. We got super chats to get through real quick. Barney Miller says, Monday, crazy party. Yesterday, hangover. New England, rehab.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Barney, appreciate the $2 as always, man. You always bring the funny. Thank you, Barney. Bang Mateo says, Guy Middle laughed when I said Mims was Stephen Hill.
Great. Okay. Well, I'm on camera every single day talking about the New York Jets for the last 5 years. I'm going to be right about things. I'm going to be wrong about things. Hand up. I was wrong about Denzel Mims. I also said in 2019 the Jets would go 7-9 and then fire Adam Gase after year 2. And what happened? They went 7-9 and then fired Adam Gase after year 2. So I get some right. I got some wrong.
Let's go, Matt. I like that.
You deserve to. That was great.
If you guys aren't, I'm sure most of you guys are, but you guys got to check out all of Matt's stuff, man. Matt, you're one of my favorites, man. Super professional, super knowledgeable. I always take a look at your stuff whenever I really want to sound good before the live stream.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, if you're not watching Matt, what the hell are you guys doing? Come on. Now, I do want to talk about one topic of this game last night that has been looping in my brain since it, and it was the missed opportunities. Because there were so many chances to flip that game. Not to say we would have won if these went our way, but there was many opportunities. Starting off with that Sauce Gardner would-be pick 6. Sauce. Let's talk about Sauce Gardner because there's a lot of stuff going around with Sauce. Okay, I'll start it off. First of all, Bang says, respect, Matt.
Respect, Bang. Thanks for calling me out, keeping me in check.
That's what we like to see, chat. Keep us in check. And guys, before we get deeper into it, I do want to say, if you guys can please do us a gigantic favor, simply hit that thumbs up button for your boys. We got Matt O'Leary in the Jets media studio for the first time. His first appearance, and it won't be his last.
I'm moving in.
Jets. Yes, Matt is moving in. We're gonna do more collabs, and we got to get Ryan from Jersey. We got to get Green Bean over here in person. But we're gonna get them in the stream though, virtually. But guys, please hit that like button. The goal is to get 100 likes in the next half hour. So, guys, smash that like button if you're enjoying the show. Really do appreciate the support. But let's get back at this Sauce Gardner because there's a lot of things going around. First of all, people were clowning him after his week 1 performance. Oh, his worst game of his career is 5 catches for 58 yards. The standard that we have for Sauce is so excellent to the point where if he has a subpar game like that, he's bad. Yesterday's game, he gave up 3 catches for 19 yards and had a pass deflection. And people are saying sophomore slump. Now, there's no excuse for that would-be pick 6. You got to capitalize. If Sauce Gardner wants to be the best corner in the NFL, that he was last year, by the way, you got to bring that in. And there's no sugarcoating that. And he knows it. He knows it himself. He is really upset. And he went out there and deactivated his Twitter. And I think that is being blown up right now. And I personally prefer Sauce to deactivate his Twitter than stay on Twitter and read everybody.
All of them to deactivate their Twitter.
Yeah, the fact that he's deactivating his Twitter and it's blown up in a negative light, I like that he deactivated his Twitter. I don't want him going after people on Twitter. I don't want him reading what people are saying. Stay locked in. Let that fuel you. And the fact that people are saying, what's wrong with Sauce? He's not good right now. Guys, when CeeDee Lamb and Sauce Gardner lined up man-to-man, CeeDee Lamb had no catches. All the CeeDee Lamb stuff was in the raggedy zone they were playing in the middle of the field when he was in the slot. The Cowboys did a great job of moving CeeDee Lamb away from Sauce Gardner, and that's where I challenged the coaching staff to freaking line up Sauce on CeeDee one-on-one man coverage and not play so much zone. And I think that, the big talking point is, yes, Sauce had that missed pick 6 opportunity, but don't make it seem like he got torched all game, because he didn't.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there 100%. And I don't think it's unfair to say that the first game of the year against the Bills is probably the worst game he's played as a pro. But as you said, the standard is so high that 5 catches, 58 yards, and no touchdowns is considered this really big, massive outlier. And he was fine
against Stephon Diggs, by the way.
Yeah, against a great wide receiver. And, he wasn't shadowing CeeDee Lamb yesterday. So it's his big day wasn't because of Sauce Gardner. And the dropped interception was bad. I'm not saying that Sauce Gardner's been, horrific through the first 2 games. I think he's someone who could use a little bit of a bounce back here. I'm not worried about him going forward, but it's been a little bit of a slow start for Sauce. And if there's anyone on this team who's, should get the benefit of the doubt on a slow start, it's Sauce.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree, Jack. What's your thoughts about Sauce Gardner's first 2 games?
I mean, Rich, I've heard you say this multiple times, so I'll just kind of echo it here. Sauce had such a phenomenal rookie year that, if there's a little bit of regression this year, it's, it is what it is. I mean, the year that he had last year, leading the league in pass deflections, not allowing a single touchdown, you can't ask a player to repeat that every single year. So while he's, gotten off to, I guess you could say, a slow start compared to where he was at last year, he's still one of the best cornerbacks in the league. Absolutely book it. The one thing I will say, and it's, I had dreams about it last night, was that freaking dropped pick 6, man. That is unexcusable. While, I don't know, man. You can't ask him to be a freaking superhero out there, but when the ball is in your hands and you got nothing but green grass in front of you, man. I mean, and if you want to be the best, like I know Sauce does, you got to make that play. So Sauce Gardner is still, a top cornerback in this league, 100%. While he is off to a quote unquote slow start compared to last year, I'm not worried whatsoever. I mean, he's coming off of a freaking defensive rookie of the year season last year. I think he's gonna get back into a nice rhythm. I think this upcoming game against the Patriots is going to be a nice opportunity to get back to business.
Pick 6 for Sauce next week, baby.
Oh, give
you
it
heard
to
it
me.
here first.
But I'm not worried about Sauce, man. Not at all. And I think that anybody that is worried about Sauce is just looking for clicks, or I don't know what you're looking for, but
yeah, really
shouldn't be worried about Sauce Gardner right now.
And just looping that pick 6 back, if you just bring yourself back to the moment of the game and the score of the game and the flip that would have happened in that game, that would have gave the Jets so much momentum, and I think it would have started making the Cowboys press a little bit. And the unfortunate thing is, think of it this way. If they got that pick 6, the Jets would have got 7 that way. Instead, the Cowboys got 7 the other way, because not only did the pick 6 happen, but that bogus roughing the passing penalty on John Franklin Myers, that would have been a 3rd down stop. It would have been 3 points instead of 7. And then they get another stop on 3rd down. Nope, it's a pass interference on Brennan Eccles, who was subbing in for an injured Michael Carter II in the slot. So it was just a lot of missed opportunities. And then another missed opportunity that I want to talk about, which probably would have made Zach Wilson's day a little bit better, is that second touchdown throw to Garrett Wilson, if his arm didn't get hit. And that's on, unfortunately, a guy that we all love and we all still respect, but he had a bad game, and that's Elijah Vera Tucker. He's the one that gave up that pressure that eventually had the defensive player of the Cowboys hit Zach Wilson's arm. If you guys did not see that play, man, go rewatch it. It was 3rd down. There was 10 seconds left. Zach Wilson knew that he had to throw that ball out of bounds, or if Garrett Wilson's open, and Garrett Wilson freaking torched Trevon Diggs on a double move to the outside. Zach Wilson zipped that thing. It would have been a touchdown, and Garrett Wilson was wide open, but Zach Wilson's arm got hit, and you saw Zach Wilson's reaction. He was screaming. You saw it on TV. That was a touchdown. He knew that was a touchdown. Garrett Wilson knew that was a touchdown, and that's, you got to give credit to the Cowboys pass rush, and because if his arm was not touched, that would have been a touchdown, and that would have been another game changer.
Little things like that, man. Like you said, Rich, this is going to be the season of the what if. What if Sauce got that pick 6? What if that ball didn't get deflected at the line of scrimmage? And, yeah,
Yeah,
let's
Matt,
just
what's your thoughts on
prepare.
that?
Let's just prepare for all those questions.
Yeah, and what if they didn't call John Franklin Myers on a phantom roughing the passer call?
So soft.
Again.
So soft.
That was the whole game for me, is what ifs, and sometimes like it's just not your day, right? It just wasn't the Jets' day yesterday, and I'm glad you brought up the Zach Wilson one at the end of the half, because how he reacted and how everyone reacted, that was a short touchdown. It stinks. It really stinks.
It really does. And he the one thing we know Zach does have is zip. And, like, he needed to zip that in there in a tight window. And, like, it's just really unfortunate because that would have been another game changer right there. And then the second half comes, and not to mention that drive he had to get to there in that spot. The one thing about Zach that I liked was his using his legs. And I've always said that I really like Zach Wilson's athleticism. He needs to utilize it more. And he looked good running the ball. But my biggest gripe with that is he led the Jets in not only rushing yards, but attempts. He had 5 attempts. Breece Hall had 4 attempts. Dalvin Cook had 4 attempts. Michael Carter had 2 attempts. I mean, this bread and butter of this team is running the football, and that's what they do.
It's crazy, man. And somebody just said, what if Jack stopped complaining? Michael J. Russo, what do you want me to do after we just got destroyed by 20 points yesterday? Our quarterback threw 3 interceptions. We abandoned the run game. The defense looked like shit. The offensive line looked like shit. The coaching staff looked incompetent. What do you want me to do right now?
How dare you?
Do you want me to be all bubbly saying, oh, we're going to smoke the New England Patriots after what we just did yesterday? How do you want me to react?
Yeah, I mean, seriously, we're going to be frustrated, folks. We're going to let it out. We're going to this is the time to voice our frustrations, and it's also time for you guys in the chat to voice your frustrations, because we're all in this together, man.
Come at me. I'm ready for it today.
We're all in this together, and that's the whole point of, having conversation and venting it all out. And I'm excited to get into the call-in segment at the end to get your guys' overall takes of this game. Now, when it comes to the offensive line, because this is a big, big topic. Oh gosh, listen. I don't know what the Jets are going to do. I don't expect them to make any personnel changes at this point. Maybe add someone. I'm not sure. But, like, Dwayne Brown and Laken Tomlinson are the biggest outliers. And there's one guy in particular that's just waiting behind the ranks, and that's Joe Tippmann. And, like, I didn't watch the film yet, so I didn't really get to see how Connor McGovern looked, but I'm assuming he looked trash as well. The Jets ran the football twice to the right side, and both of those runs went for average 4.5 yards per carry. All the other handoffs to the left side. We got a washed up, nothing but respect for Dwayne Brown, by the way. Dwayne Brown is a very good human being. He's a selfless warrior. What he did last year, you cannot forget about. But the reality is he was injured, got shoulder surgery, did not participate in OTAs or training camp. He comes out there, and he's rusty right now. And I don't know if there's any room for improvement from a 38-year-old left tackle. And Laken Tomlinson, 2 years removed from a Pro Bowler, has been an awful, awful left guard for these Jets. So, Matt, what's your thoughts of the offensive line? How do they figure it out? Is it one of those things where you just got to let them play and get through misery in order to figure themselves out? Or is there no upside?
I don't know, but I am very concerned about that left side of the offensive line, because a part of me wants to just go, all right, they didn't play a ton together in the preseason and training camp. They need time to gel, give it another week. But Laken Tomlinson has just been so absolutely horrific since coming over to the New York Jets. And they have someone in Joe Tippmann that they drafted in the second round that played guard in the preseason, that played center in the preseason. He's versatile. He played all 5 positions on the offensive line. He could play tackle. I wouldn't put him out there at tackle, but he's done it in his career. Like, I don't know how much longer they can run out Laken Tomlinson and just be like, well, he's making a lot of money, so he's got to play. Or Dwayne Brown's a vet. He's got to play. I'm so sick of that. Like, oh, this guy's making X, he's got to play. Or, this vet, he's earned it. No, like, he really hasn't earned it. And for me, that left side of the line is just really, really bad. If they have one more bad game, I think you got to put Joe Tippmann in, because I don't know how you could possibly continue to run this thing back.
And you saw that Sunday Night Football game. The whole narrative about the Miami Dolphins, their offensive line's trash, and their first 2 games, their offensive line has been sensational. And I think a big reason for that also is Tua getting rid of the ball quick. And I'm watching that game just thinking about week 3. The Jets better not let this freaking Patriots pass rush get to Zach Wilson consistently and give him a clean pocket. And it's also up to Zach Wilson to get rid of the ball fast and on time, because this is going to be a big test. And I think that, again, this game against the Patriots is going to tell us all we need to know about this New York Jets football team. How do they handle adversity? You know, that Monday night game, there was adversity and win. So, right, there was two emotions from that Monday night game. We lost Aaron Rodgers, but we won that game in a miracle way. And so there was still an uplifting energy coming from that. Well, that's not the case this game, right? We have some injuries that we have to hope that Quincy Williams, hopefully we have good news from him today. But, you know, I'm really curious to see how this offensive line shapes up against the New England Patriots on Sunday.
I agree, man. And you know, based on what we saw last night, I mean, the Dolphins are supposed to have this notoriously bad, you know, offensive line. Tua was in a clean pocket, getting the ball out within 2-3 seconds last night, you know, completing almost every pass that he threw, it looked like. It was amazing to watch. I mean, Tua looked like the freaking best quarterback in football at certain points last night. So, you know, we'll the question obviously brings us back, since we're playing the Patriots next week. Will the Jets be able to even semi-replicate that in terms of giving Zach Wilson some sort of a pocket to throw out of? Because, I mean, the offensive line yesterday was just absolutely doing no favors in both the run game and pass protection. And, yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you guys. The left side of this offensive line, which, you know, should feel good. Two veterans that know what they're doing and have done it at a high level for many years. You know, we should have some semblance of confidence in that, I think. But it was an absolute disaster yesterday. I mean, Dwayne Brown looked like the slowest moving person on the field, which he was. I mean, he could not, and obviously he's going against Micah Parsons, who is a literal freak, but he did not belong out there yesterday. He did not belong. Laken Tomlinson did not belong. Certain plays where, you know, Elijah Vera Tucker looked like he did not belong out there yesterday. And obviously, you know, as O'Leary just mentioned, I mentioned it briefly, that word gel when it comes to the offensive line, you know, it obviously takes time for five guys to get on the same page when they didn't have, you know, a lot of time in the summer playing next to each other. But, you know, I'm at the point, one more bad week, I'll be pounding the table for Joe Tippmann, man.
Yeah, no doubt. And, like, I also just want to show some respect real quick to Micah Parsons, because that was probably the most single-handedly dominant performance of my life, going, like, as a Jets fan, watching another individual dominate the Jets. That was the best. So just tip of your cap. I think he's a generational player. And, like, listen, I'm just hopeful that maybe it was just the Micah Parsons effect for Dwayne Brown. I don't know, that's being a little optimistic here because he still looked trash in week one. But listen, man, that was unreal. And just watching Dwayne Brown look like an absolute, you know, every time I looked at him, I was just like, dude, he has no upside. There's dust coming off of him as he's trying to backpedal and handle Micah Parsons. So I don't know how they gel. I don't know how they handle this adversity, but, you know, it's up to this coaching staff to really figure things out. And also, we're talking about this offensive line protecting the quarterback, but how about the offensive line in the run game? The offensive line in the run game was great against the Bills. Great. I mean, Breece Hall had 109 yards in his first two carries, and that was because of the lanes that was opening up for him. So, Matt, what's your thoughts of not only offensive line protecting the quarterback, but how can they really establish that run game? And I think they abandoned it a little too early.
They definitely abandoned it a little bit too early. And you were talking about Dwayne Brown. It doesn't get any easier for him, too. He's going against Matt Judon this upcoming week, which is it's another tough pass rusher. Yeah. So good luck, good luck offensive line and Zach Wilson on Sunday in this game.
It's going to be tough, man.
It is going to be a tough game against New England. And for the run game, I think we talked about earlier in the show the personnel usage that the Jets were using, and I think they need to get their tight ends on the field more. And I hate to keep bringing it up, but Jeremy Ruckert is the team's best blocking tight end. He needs to be in there. Him and Tyler Conklin had a huge block on that long Breece Hall run. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how you are not running to that right side of the offensive line more. Twice in the game yesterday is just unforgivable, and that is something to me has to change. One, add in your actual good blocking tight end to Jeremy Ruckert, have him on the field for more than 4 plays, and then number 2, run to your dominant right side of the offensive line. That's good in the run game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Seems simple enough to me, man. I mean, like...
And can we also, maybe give Garrett Wilson more looks? I mean, This man is sensational. Can we just talk about one positive? I know it's a negative day. Let's talk about that touchdown because it's the only highlight we had. So I'm going to talk about it because I really love this play call. And listen, it's one play call out of an entire game. The coaching staff I'm not happy with. But I will say this is what we want to see more from. So let's talk about it. That touchdown that the Jets had came on the first play of the drive. It was a 9-second drive. And I think the biggest reason why they scored on that touchdown was because they knew that the Cowboys was stacking the box. They were expecting a run, and it was a great call to do a play-action shot to a nice drag over the middle of the field with Garrett Wilson man coverage with a single high safety because the Cowboys was zoning on the run. It was a great play action from Zach. Zach stepped up in the pocket, delivered an absolute bullet to Garrett Wilson, and Garrett Wilson does Garrett Wilson things when you give him the opportunities, breaks a tackle, and he's gone for his 68-yard touchdown. So I think those are the things that the Jets got to do a little more of is take the aggressive shots, stop being conservative, stop being complacent, and kind of let Zach loose. And like, not to say that they should have confidence in him to stretch the field because he hasn't showed Zach Wilson to be able to do that consistently. But with the defense that we're going up against, they're going to be stacking the box. That's not going to end. And I know we keep saying, do the run game, do the JETS. We got a new subscriber. Shout out to CT.
I was thinking, I didn't press the button, dude.
We got a new subscriber.
There we go.
Appreciate you. Now I lost my train of thought. But basically, Garrett Wilson needs the ball more.
He needs the ball more.
And I think that that play call was really good, and that is something that the coaching staff got to talk about. Okay, this worked because they're stacking the box against us. And what we were just talking about, guys, was the run game, and they abandoned the run game. Well, it's going to be really hard. That's something we have to talk about to establish a run game when we have defenses literally stacking the box and just loading it up. It's going to be hard to run the football, especially when they're doing that. So it's up to the Jets to how about take some shots down the field, because one thing Zach does have is a cannon of an arm, and they need to utilize that as a weapon and kind of just let him loose a little bit. What's your thoughts on that, Matt?
Yeah, I agree. That's why I don't mind the second interception that Zach had, the one on the ball on the left-hand side. I don't mind that as much because he was trying to get the defense to back off because they were starting to stack the box. So if you're going to have an interception like that, that's fine because you need to take a shot. There was also the throw that ended up being out of bounds to Allen Lazard. And then was going to get called back on a Dwayne Brown holding.
Throw of the game.
Yeah, that was a really, really nice throw. And there are moments where he pushes it down the field and looks good. But like you said, it's too inconsistent for me with Zach Wilson when he's trying to get the ball down the field. But you're 100% right. They need to be able to take some shots. And it was a play action, too, the one to Garrett Wilson, which I think is important to running the play action because teams are going to be expecting the run. So they'll bite on that, and that's when you should take your chance.
Yeah, especially to Garrett Wilson, who is proving to be a damn superstar. Like, we were criticizing Sauce a little bit, but Garrett Wilson in 2 games has shown in limited opportunities, unfortunately, that he's that dude, and they got to make some game plans around him and get him the damn football. 2 catches is inexcusable. I know that it went for a freaking 80 yards and a touchdown, but that man needs 10 targets minimum a game.
Yeah, the game plan was just extremely disappointing yesterday, and there was so many narratives out there. The Jets, per sources, per whoever, the Jets, switched about X percentage of their game plan around to fit Zach Wilson's strengths. Well, what was it? Was that abandoning the run game? Was that scheming up no open receivers down the field, like
going 5 wide?
Yeah. What was that? What was that game? I would love to know exactly what they eliminated from the potential plays called and what they added yesterday, because they looked lost on offense. They looked like there was zero game plan for Zach Wilson. Clearly, running the ball was a complete afterthought. Why? We'll be asking ourselves for the rest of the season, at least for this next week. But yeah, I mean, the Nathaniel Hackett and Downing and obviously got to put this on Robert Saleh, who's, although he's not an offensive guy, he is the freaking head coach of this football team. There was no game plan yesterday. They were not prepared to have Zach Wilson as the quarterback. You would think with Zach at quarterback, okay, here we go. Brees, Dalvin, even Michael Carter, you guys are up. This is your day. Go out there and shine. 4 carries for Brees Hall and 4 carries for Dalvin Cook, and I think 2 for Michael Carter, and 5 rushes for Zach Wilson. I mean, I don't know what. I don't think there was a game plan. I've seen a bunch of people in the chat get him out, roll him out, bootleg, throw him on the run. Zach Wilson, I know that's supposed to be his game, the whole on the run, improvised thing. That worked for him in BYU. If you look at where he has had some success in the NFL, it's throwing from a clean pocket. which the Jets were not able to give him yesterday. Zach Wilson is a turnover machine when he's out on the run trying to throw the ball across his body, across the field. That is where I don't want to see Zach Wilson. If he has to, obviously, that's a skill that he does have, and it's a big part of the reason why he's an NFL quarterback. But I just didn't see any sort of effort, really. It seemed like to make this easy for Zach to get the run game involved, and obviously that starts with the offensive line really playing like crap across the board yesterday, whether it's run blocking or pass protection.
Yeah.
But I was extremely disappointed in the offensive staff for really coming out flat, unprepared, especially against a stellar, maybe the best defense in the league like the Dallas Cowboys. So I mean, just completely fell flat on our faces. Again, while my faith in Zach is dwindling, again, you cannot blame him for that loss yesterday. There was nothing done to help him transition into that game yesterday.
Yeah, very, very good points, Jack. Very good points. I agree. Bradley with the $5 super chat. Zach impressed me on the 2-minute drill to end the half. Need more of him dealing quick like that. Yes, I mean, that was the moment where I was like, wow, okay, Zach, you're showing me something here. Not only did he look good with his legs, but he was pushing the ball. He had poise. He had confidence. But other than that, man, he kind of fumbled. So, Bradley, I appreciate the $5 super chat, my man. And we have a special guest, guys. The first guest of the show. He is backstage. I'm really hopeful that it'll all work.
Let's see. Let's find.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Let's bring him in. Oh, it's the wrong graphic.
Wrong graphic.
Please hold.
Please hold. Graphics. We got to switch graphics, and we got my man backstage. Look at him. He's smiling and clowning me. He's Ryan.
Hey.
Yeah,
What's
we
good,
got
guys?
him.
We got him. We got the audio.
Woo-hoo.
You guys hearing Ryan in the chat. Let's go,
Streamlabs.
baby.
What's good, boys?
Ryan, we're not celebrating Victory Monday, unfortunately, but how you feeling this Monday?
Frustrated, I think, more than anything else. Yesterday's game was just a complete failure on multiple fronts, but I feel like after the game with some of the stuff you heard chirping about Sauce and Dwayne Brown and Brees and all the stuff going on, it just makes me feel like we're headed back to 2022, and I don't like it.
Oh, gosh. Ryan, don't say that. How? Now, Ryan, I watched your post-game recap last night, and I enjoyed it. You were uncensored, and you let
colorful.
You let your true emotion out there. So why don't you just take that hour and a half recap that you gave us last night in your channel and condense it into your overall thoughts from that game yesterday?
Yeah, so just frustrated. I felt like the offensive line was not prepared to handle Micah Parsons. It didn't feel like we were able to neutralize anything. We couldn't block anyone. I mean, even Zach, I thought felt fine for what we did. Like when you're looking at lists of things as to why the Jets lost yesterday, Zach doesn't feel like he's super high up on the list. Now you can argue that because teams don't respect his arm, they stack the box more, and you can go into that whole thing. But I felt like Zach was completing the passes they asked him to make, and I just wish we had seen more of the running athletic side of Zach, because it was the only thing that was working. I mean, they're saying, okay, we're going to put 8 in the box, and we're going to let the receivers go man on man, and we're going to make Zach beat us with his arm. Well, go full Lamar Jackson on their ass and just let him run wild. Have that kind of dynamic to your offense that maybe frees up other stuff. And it sucks because Brees Hall only got the 4 touches on the ground. He dropped 2 screen passes. Dalvin Cook had 4 touches. He fumbles the ball. We couldn't get anything going. And Micah Parsons is just an absolute game wrecker. I mean, he has a very good shot at winning, not just defensive MVP, but if it keeps going on this path, he has a very good shot at winning MVP for the league this year.
Crazy, man, which is obviously rare for a defender. But yeah, I mean, we've been saying the whole time, I think the Jets just completely fell flat yesterday. It almost looked like just completely unprepared. I feel like there was very limited game planning done for Zach Wilson specifically, and obviously we saw that yesterday with the turnovers towards the end of the game. Constantly getting pressured. I think he only got sacked 3 times, but the pressure, was there every single freaking time he dropped back. Which obviously comes down to the offensive line really not doing their job as well. But Ryan, I want to ask you, what are your thoughts on the offensive coaching staff yesterday and kind of their inability to really generate anything? Now, obviously we'd rather have Aaron Rodgers out there than Zach Wilson. But, Zach Wilson does give us, a different angle. Zach Wilson has the mobility that Rodgers lacks. So there is really no excuse, I think, to come out this flat-footed on offense. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, from the offensive side of the ball, it just felt like we didn't have an answer for Micah Parsons. Like, he's coming off the edge. You could see what they did to the Giants the week before. Throw a tight end over there, chip some guys, do something to generate some more time. And I think at one point they were saying 69% of Zach Wilson's dropbacks were under pressure or under duress. And it's like, you can't – a quarterback is going to sustain that. There was a stat years and years ago where, you take Big Ben's accuracy and you say, okay, or quarterback rating or whatever, and you apply pressure, it all of a sudden drops down to like a Blaine Gabbert level accuracy and quarterback rating. And for those of you guys that maybe don't remember Blaine Gabbert, that's not too good. It's a big deal to get pressure on the quarterback. No, and I don't know like where it all kind of fell apart, because Dwayne Brown was just getting spun around like crazy. And then he's saying afterwards, like, well, I'm just trying to, do the blocking assignment. And clearly, like, we cannot handle stunts. when Parsons just rips around the inside, there was just no answer for him. McGovern's pushing one way, Brown's left there, throwing his hands up like, well, what can I do? What can I do? And there would have been far more sacks if Zach Wilson didn't have the mobility that he has. Like, that, we were very lucky that we got that far. And even Zach with the 3 turnovers, those 3 turnovers happened once there was 3, like we were down by 3 scores. So like that's hero ball to me. So as much as like, okay, the first interception was just a very, very bad pass, but did it really impact the game at that point? I don't know. You go into coming out of half, Jets get the ball, right? There was a Breece Hall drop on a screen pass. Then he got stuffed behind the line of scrimmage the next play. And then, I think we got a false start and it was like 3rd and 17 or something like that. And then we punt the ball. They kick a field goal on the way back. Then we get the ball back. And then it's nice pass from Zach Wilson to Allen Lazard for a first down. Then Dalvin Cook gets the ball and he fumbles and it goes the other way. So like, it just sucks. Cause like, I don't feel like Zach had a horrible game. It just felt like maybe we just had so much emotion going into this past Monday's game, and then short week against a tough opponent. I don't know. I'm trying to like rationalize it as best I can, but I did not like what I saw yesterday.
Agreed,
Matt, what's your thoughts? And will you have any questions for your buddy Ryan over here?
Yeah, hi friend, hi co-host. I'll see you tomorrow.
Hi.
Yes,
I can't wait to talk to you.
We stole Matt from you today, Ryan. We
Yeah.
straight up stole him.
Yeah, I'm cheating on you and Green Bean today. But I love the in studio stuff. It's been fun, but yeah, I think for me, like from this game, the defense was so surprising, and I kind of wanted to hear from Ryan what his thoughts were specifically on the defensive side of the ball with the effort that they put forward in this game yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, they had 5 field goals is what ultimately happened. I felt like it was that bend but don't break style of defense, but I still would like to see our defense. I feel like our guys pound for pound are better than anyone else's guys pound for pound. So like, I don't want to see Brandon Echols covering CeeDee Lamb. I want to see Sauce Gardner follow CeeDee Lamb all over the field. Put our best guy on their best guy, and let's trust our guys to like match up well. They were just finding soft spots in the zone. Like I think Gardner, that's weird to call him that, Sauce. Maybe I shouldn't even call him Sauce. Maybe I should call him Ahmad until he like shuts down. I don't. I'm just frustrated. Sorry. I don't even know where to go. But no, it's just frustrating, right? Like this is such a strong defense, and the Cowboys just dismantled us with the run. It was death by 1,000 paper cuts is what it felt like, and they took advantage of the pass rush that we would have and the speed coming at them, and they just dink it over top of us, or they'd run right at it, and we just didn't have a way to stop it. And the time of possession, I mean, talk about lopsided. It was almost 43 minutes in favor of the Cowboys and 17 minutes for the Jets. Like that, you can't win like that. You have to have the ball longer than 17 minutes in a game. So the defense, while it wasn't 100% great game, I feel like it was more of a product of how the offensive side was unable to move the ball. And I felt like by the time we got to like the halfway through the third and fourth quarter, they were just gassed.
Yeah, I agree. And like, listen, man, we talked about this before you came on, but the quarterback was pressured 70% of the time, Ryan. What would have Aaron Rodgers done in this game?
Oh, dude, he would have been smoked back there. There's no way. Because, like, even Zach got the ball out pretty quick on occasion. I don't know what the snap to throw was yesterday, but there's no way. Rodgers probably sitting in his hospital bed and he's like, dodged a bullet there. Gonna wait the season out, get a tackle in the offseason. We'll figure it out next year. Like, I don't know I don't know how you sit here and watch that game and say like, oh, it would have been better with Rodgers. Like maybe they have one less person in the box and maybe there's a situation where like Breece and Cook start rolling a little bit earlier, but it felt like we just kept having self-inflicted wounds. And I maybe I'm rationalizing it the wrong way and I should put more blame on Zach Wilson and the inability to get the ball down the field, but I think Rodgers would have been a sitting duck back there.
Yeah.
I agree, man. And I think that, 100%. And the game plan was completely lackluster. Rodgers would have gotten absolutely destroyed by that Dallas defensive front yesterday, who, we've said it a couple of times in this stream, and I'm not, giving any excuses for the Jets offensive line that really did play like garbage yesterday. But it's 2 weeks in a row now where we've seen Dallas's defense absolutely dismantle somebody. So I think we got to give credit where credit's due and just realize that Dallas has an absolutely elite top-tier defense, maybe the best in the NFL, probably the best in the NFL at this current moment. And yeah, the offensive line, old man Dwayne Brown and old man Tomlinson got absolutely freaking smoked yesterday, man. And maybe we should have expected that going into this game. I definitely expected, us to fight a little harder than we did, but I think you got to give credit where credit's due and realize that, Parsons specifically, but Dan Quinn is doing a fantastic job as, Dallas's defensive coordinator. Dallas is a tough team, man. So while I'm not giving the Jets offensive line any excuses, 2 weeks in a row now where the Cowboys defensive front has absolutely exposed another team's offense. So,
I couldn't agree more, Jack. And I think it's time for us to kind of give the Cowboys a lot of credit here. To be honest, man, and we have to wait to see how we perform against the Patriots, but this game could have been just a representation of us going up against the best pass rush in the NFL, and maybe the offensive line isn't as bad as we think. I mean, any offensive line going up against that pass rush, they got to at least make adjustments and show some types of sign of optimism, but there was none of it. So my question to you, Matt, is like, do you have any expectations for this offense to figure it out? Do you think it was more of a product against going up against a generational pass rusher, Micah Parsons, and one of the best defensive pass rushers in the entire NFL? Or do you think this offensive line is going to struggle like this all season long?
I hope it's not going to struggle all season long. That would really suck.
I hope
not. I think, look, you're going up against two very tough defenses in the first 2 weeks against the Bills and against the Dallas Cowboys. I think that absolutely plays a factor. And something we've talked about already on this show is you have New England coming up, which is another team that they love to get after the quarterback. They love to blitz the quarterback. So it's hard not to be a little bit concerned about that mismatch against this New York Jets offensive line. But it's getting late early around here, to quote our guy Yogi Berra. Like, they got to figure this thing out right now. And maybe it is bringing in Joe Tibbin, because eventually.
Center or
any? I don't care. Pick one. Pick one out of a hat.
I agree, man. I agree. Put him at left tackle.
Dude, go Young Bucks across the offensive line. Go Becton on the left-hand side. Go, Tippmann at guard, whatever. Just, I want to see like a whole shuffle of everything, which is probably not the best way to look at it considering the offensive line hasn't played together long.
No, and like Tomlinson's hasn't been good really since he's come over here. But yesterday was an absolutely horrific Connor McGovern game also. So pick your poison. You could either put him in, make the switch, and have Tippmann at center, or you could play him at guard. I just think something's got to give here.
We got a super chat from Douglas. Thank you so much, Douglas. I appreciate the very generous $10 super chat. He says, I keep hearing the comment about we had our backup quarterback, in which is a lazy BS take. For all but maybe 5 starters in the league, there would be the same results. Ryan, what's your thoughts of Douglas's comment there? Again, he says, I keep hearing the comment about we had our backup quarterback, in which is a lazy BS take. For all but maybe 5 starters in the league, there would be the same results.
Yeah, I agree. I think it makes a lot of sense. So when you look around at what happened, I mean, you need a different offensive line. I don't think the quarterback was really the problem yesterday. Maybe I'm just horrible at watching game tape, and having, 8 in the box is what happened to Zach. But I feel like any quarterback that's back there with that offensive line, the way that defense was coming at him, I don't know how you win. And especially when you have drops, like Garrett had a drop, Breece had 2 drops. Like you got to help out your team, especially when you have at one point, I think the Jets had 14 snaps to the Cowboys 42 or 47 snaps.
Ryan.
Like totally lopsided.
That makes
And
me
when
wanna
you consider
vomit.
like, okay, you've dropped the first down screen pass. Well, okay, you've wasted one play on the drop, but then you've also not gained the additional 4 plays from the first down. So like it's a compounding issue that wound up, sort of hitting us all at once. And I agree. I think the quarterback wouldn't have mattered.
Douglas, again,
Maybe
thank
like
you
a
for
Lamar.
Thank you for the $10 super chat, Douglas. Really do appreciate it. And I'm going to bring in a little splash of optimism and positivity because that's what we do over here on Jets Media. Here we go. No, it's just something that I feel like I want to bring up that I kind of liked yesterday in the loss. Because the one thing we knew about Zach Wilson last year is that he lost the locker room. And the one thing I've noticed is that's not the case right now. I think that this team is really behind Zach Wilson genuinely. We heard from the beat that yesterday after the game, they noticed that Garrett Wilson's arms were around Zach Wilson and Tyler Conklin were all in his ear saying this was not on you. They were very evident to Zach saying we have to play better, we need to protect better, and just kind of bringing that confidence to Zach. And I just really like that from the Jets team, that this offense is rallying around Zach Wilson, because guess what? This team would be an absolute nightmare even more for the rest of the season if everything started to kind of turn the page where everyone is pointing fingers at Zach all over again like last year. I think Zach learned from his mistake last season of, not holding himself accountable. And he's matured a lot. His press conference was impressive from me just from the perspective of how bad his press conference was last year against that Patriots loss. And I think that's just a little sign of maturity. And I think that just gives me some sign of optimism that this offense has Zach's back. Breece Hall, I know that he had his tweet about this 4 touches, but he also liked some tweets defending Zach Wilson, saying that he looked really good in the first half. So, Ryan, my question to you is, what's your thoughts of genuinely seeing that this offense is rallying around Zach Wilson and really instilling confidence in him and really feels like they believe in him still after that game yesterday?
I think they have his back 100%. I do think that's true. I do think that there's not a better option on the roster either. Like, I think that probably plays some level. Yeah, it's like, what do you get Tim Boyle in there? Like, yeah, we're going to go beat the Dallas Cowboys right now. I don't see that happening either. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't feel like they've fallen apart, but this is like, it makes me nervous. Like the Breece comments, Sauce deleting the Twitter, Brown talking about how, he's only running the blocking scheme that he's told to run. Like it feels like there's about to be a mutiny, and I am like super cringing about it right now.
Me too, man. It's scary. And, I think me and you are kind of in the same line of thought here as, yes, it's all well and good. The rah-rah stuff is great. But what freaking choice do they really have, man? I mean, Aaron Rodgers just went down after 4 freaking plays. Everybody was, thinking deep playoff run, if not, a chance at winning it all. And that has all changed in the snap of a finger. So what are these guys going to do? They're not going to, all of a sudden go, oh, we hate Zach, go sign Carson Wentz. No, these guys are going to rally around the best quarterback that they have remaining on the roster, as they should. But I'm kind of, I think that, I'm a little nervous as well. I mean, we've seen it before. Even, the team doesn't even have to be doing bad necessarily, as we saw last year with Elijah Moore, for people to get upset and start taking to Twitter and liking this tweet and subtweeting about this and that. I personally wish all these guys would just get off Twitter. I know we can't make them do that. I know they have to further their personal brands and sponsorships and whatever, advertisements, all good. I understand it's part of the game. It's part of the world we live in. Personally, I hate Twitter. I go on it sometimes to get updates and talk with Jets fans. I think it's by far the most toxic of all the social medias out there. I think that the players should stay the hell off of it. But I also sound like an old man when I start talking like that. So I'll kind of, curb that a little bit.
Boomer.
Yeah.
Boomer.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I just think it's just a recipe for disaster when, this guy liked this tweet and Sauce deactivated, and then, I don't know. I wish that these guys could just, settle down, focus on ball. But we have some very active Twitter guys on this roster.
We do. Derek comes in with the $2 super chat. So what do we do about Dwayne Brown? Retirement. I'm just kidding. I don't know, dude. If that man...
Boom.
Bum.
That's good, Ryan. Bum. Oh, my gosh. I swear there was a time during the game, and I was watching the game with Jack, so he knows exactly what I'm talking about,
man.
where I was looking at Parsons lined up. It was before the snap, and I'm looking at him like, Parsons looks terrifying right now. I am scared for my life. And he was just lined up, and he just looked like an absolute dog. I'm like, guys, I am scared of Parsons. I said it on my live show during the game. And what happened? They absolutely destroyed Dwayne Brown. Spin move inside. Oh, swallowed Zach Wilson, incomplete. And I'm like, gosh, damn it. Like, what are we watching here? Matt, what do we do about Dwayne Brown? Because my biggest thing about him, it's not like he's Mekhi where he's young. It's like, okay, Mekhi's young. He has some room for growth. Dwayne's 38. Like, is there any signs of growth with you, Dwayne? Is there anything to believe in? Maybe you're rusty. I don't know. I can't find of anything optimistic to say about him.
Yeah, you got to hope that it's just the rust of him not having much of a training camp. Like, that's really the only thing going his way, is that he hasn't really played a whole lot. And that maybe the more reps this team gets together as a unit, they will finally improve. But you're right, like 38 years old, off the surgery, you're hoping like, okay, you know, come in and improve off of last year. We appreciate you fighting through. But this hasn't really been the case. I don't know. They're gonna have to, you know, really keep a close eye on him this week, I think, because if it continues to get worse, then they're gonna be in rough shape.
And he had no chance. I mean, there wasn't like, okay, Dwayne, good rep. Every time I see him, just like, oh God, it was bad. Oh gosh, we lost Ryan.
Did we
Oh
lose
no.
Ryan? Oh,
Get,
We got him.
He's back.
oh, we're back. Back, baby. Back.
We got a
and better
super
than
chat
ever.
from Willie Vision. Becton at left tackle, AVT at left guard, McGovern at center, Tittman at right guard, Billy Turner or Max Mitchell at right tackle. Can't take Brown and Tom for another year. Zach throws a second touchdown to Garrett if the line blocks. So,
Is Max Mitchell healthy?
yes, he is healthy.
Sign me up for that, man. Sign me up for Becton, AVT, McGovern, Tittman, and Max Mitchell.
Maybe we slide Mekhi to left tackle, plug Max Mitchell at right tackle. I mean, who knows? Ryan, what's your thoughts of that super chat and a Becton, AVT, McGovern, Tittman, Turner, or Mitchell at right tackle type of line?
Yeah, I would go with the young guns at this point. I think you got nothing left to lose. I'd rather get them some reps together right now.
Absolutely.
Because look, the reason you had the vets in front of Rodgers because he felt like he could trust, you know, McGovern at center and all these different guys. I think it's crazy that they didn't run behind AVT and Becton more frequently. I feel like those are the two road graders you brought in. Like, let's actually take care of business and run it down their throat. You know, if you're going to move them to one side, I would like to see AVT follow to that left-hand side as well, and then just use them as the tandem you dreamed them to be. So
Yeah.
it's just tough. I don't want to see Brown out there, really. He's too
How
old.
about Keith Carter? Does he have anything to say about this offensive line coach?
Come on, Keith.
Hey, Keith, what are you doing? I mean, listen, man, I know that you focused a lot on this training camp of versatility and landing this guy in this position, this guy in that position. How about you keep someone at one position and we figure something out, because this is not going to work. And we saw it exposed on Hard Knocks. I mean, Robert Saleh ripped this offensive line a new one after their performance against the Carolina Panthers in that joint practice. So the tape's out there, and the Jets got to freaking adjust, man. The Jets got to be able to figure this out on that offensive line game, man. And that's really what it comes down to from this offensive line. And I know that's going to be the biggest topic point all week long is, can this offensive line figure it out? Because I really don't know if this quarterback and Zach Wilson can survive with a 70% pressure rate. And, like, I don't want to be that guy, but there is a stat out there that Zach Wilson is literally a top 5 rated quarterback with a clean pocket. And yesterday, he has a 70% complete pressure rate. Zach Wilson is the worst quarterback in the NFL at handling pressure. And if you are an NFL quarterback, you got to be able to handle pressure sometimes. That's not an excuse. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, it's pressure, so that's why you suck. No, you got to learn to deal with pressure. Don't be perfect, but show some signs of improvement in pressure. So, Matt, what do you think Zach's got to do to handle this pressure if it's going to be an offensive line nightmare? Because the stats prove that he's good in a clean pocket, but the opposite in pressure rate.
Yeah, I don't. It's got to be something upstairs mentally with him, because we've seen, you know, there is talent there, and he's a very gifted passer. But it's just, I think he gets into that panic mode a little bit, where it's like, oh my God, here comes the rush. I'm gonna either sit down and take this sack, or you know, I'm gonna force a throw I shouldn't. Now, I guess on a slight positive, there were a few examples in the Dallas game where there was pressure and he was stepping up in the pocket and going out that way rather than bailing backwards, which is just absolutely horrific. You can't be losing, 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So I'll take that one as a slight win. But I think just, getting the ball out quicker, and also his underneath accuracy has gotten better, but he still sometimes puts too much zip on the ball on these screen passes. I think if he takes a little bit off, that might make life a little easier on Brees trying to catch those 2 passes.
Yeah, I agree, man. Dave the Dude in the chat says, Richie, his footwork was better yesterday, even with pressure. He just does not know where to go with the football. It's all between the ears. And I agree with that, Dave. I think that it's all between the ears. And there has been a slight improvement of Zach's game that you can tell that Aaron Rodgers and the new coaching staff has helped him with just in terms of the fundamentals. Because remember, we're talking about a broken product in Zach Wilson last 2 years. And there has been slight sliver improvements. So, Ryan, what's your optimism level? Because I watch your show. I know that you're not blaming Zach for the reason for this loss. You know, not the only reason, but part of the reason. So what's your level of optimism in Zach Wilson against the New England Patriots? Do you have any sliver of hope that he can really put up enough of a game to win this game? Because all we want Zach Wilson to do is play good enough and manage the game well enough to win this football game. And obviously a lot is on the defense because the defense has to bounce back as well to win that football game against the Patriots. But just honing in on Zach Wilson, what's your overall expectation? What do you want to see him improve on against the Bill Belichick-led New England Patriots?
It's weird because I don't know how much. I mean, I guess I want to see him improve in all facets, right? Like, but to Matt's credit, Zach has like 2 modes. It's miss the receiver or throw it a zillion miles an hour and the receiver can't catch the ball. So hopefully he learns to put a little more touch on it because he was getting a lot better with the passes out in the flat, the screen passes, things like that. We were seeing a lot of accuracy with Buffalo. So I'd like to see this team get pissed off and play angry. I want to see them run the ball down their throat. I don't know how much I want to have to put on Zach Wilson. Like, I want them to run behind AVT and Mekhi Becton. I want Brees to be angry that he had 4 carries and to go prove why he needs more carries. Like, that's this type of stuff I want. For Zach, you know, get the ball out fast. Make sure you don't have this fall on you. You're not the one throwing a bad interception early in the game. Like, it's one thing when it's hero ball and you're down 3 scores. Like, I'm going to kind of forgive that a lot easier than I'm going to forgive, 4 interceptions week 2 of, your rookie year, for example. So I don't know. I want to see him be decisive, make a quick read. I want to see I think more than anything though, I want to see the offensive play calling for a shift. I want to use more of Zach's athleticism. He's fast. He's strong. It's like, okay, let's see him run. Like, it's okay to let him kind of go wild because that's one of his traits that he's good at. Like, play to his strengths.
Yeah, play to his strengths. And I think his athleticism is a big strength that the Jets got to really utilize. And for Zach to continue to utilize it, of course, be smart with it. So, Jack, I know you're losing, your faith with Zach by the minute. But what is there from Zach that you want to see? Like, what are the parts of the game that Zach has shown negatively that you need to see him fix? Like, what's there that you see that he has in the little glimpse of positive for him to get those figured out, to start proving to not be a great quarterback, to not be the top quarterback in the league, but be a good enough quarterback to win with this Jets football team? Like, what do you see from him that he needs to work on this week?
Well, that's the thing. Right now, we're dealing with a bad quarterback. I mean, he's in his 3rd year in the NFL, and we're all kind of, dancing around the question like, well, I don't want to leave too much on Zach. I don't want to leave too much responsibility to Zach. The offensive line and the offensive coordinator abandoning the run game and all that stuff obviously doesn't work in Zach Wilson's favor. But Zach Wilson has yet to give us a bona fide great game. Where's the great game from Zach Wilson? We've won some games with Zach Wilson. There's been times where he has not been the reason that we lost, but show me the games where he's the reason that we won. Show me the games, 300 plus passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Hasn't been a single one. And, I understand we haven't necessarily put him in the best position to succeed. I think we've done a lot better job at putting him in a position to succeed than we ever did with Sam Darnold, who we just threw into the wolf pit. But I think, I agree with Matt. I think it's a mental thing with Zach Wilson. But here we are in year 3, still saying the same things, So I see his ceiling getting lower and lower every time he's out there. And while I do think he could eventually become a serviceable quarterback potentially, I think, the days of hoping that he's going to be the guy that can take us on, take us to the promised land, take us on a deep postseason run, I think those are coming to an end, man. And obviously we have, the blame needs to be shared. It's the offensive line. It's the game plan yesterday. It's abandoning the run. But, at the end of the day, Zach Wilson, for every good play he makes, he makes 2 mistakes, you know? So I think that, you know, he's got to clean up the mental errors. I agree with you though, Ryan. Those turnovers kind of came where the game was already lost, you know, a little bit of hero ball going on there for sure. But I just don't think he's shown us enough to really instill any confidence that he's going to take us to where we want to go this year. If his absolute ceiling is a game manager, that's just not good enough, man. Clearly yesterday showed us it's not good enough because our defense didn't show up the way we assume they're going to show up every week. We have to come to terms with that reality that this defense is not going to be perfect every time they step out onto the field. So we can't rely on them to absolutely shut shit down like they did it against the Buffalo Bills. You know, his ceiling as this kind of game manager quarterback, I don't think is good enough.
And you know what the sad reality is about this whole thing? The only reason I had some optimistic views about Zach Wilson's future with this team is his ability to sit behind Rodgers. Sit behind Rodgers, Matt. I mean, that's what this whole thing was about. The Jets coaching staff realized, okay, Zach is broken, and we need to bring in someone to be the guy to put underneath his wing, not only in training camp, but throughout the season. And that's not an excuse right here, but I think that's what the vision was, which was a perfect vision. If there is any way to fix Zach Wilson, that was the way to do it, but that's not the case. And Rodgers said, even on the Pat McAfee show, he was excited for Zach to just relax, not have pressure, sit back and watch Aaron deal with an up and down season. Because listen, Aaron was not going to be perfect, right? He was going to have good games, going to have bad games. But I think that was a really big hit on Zach's development. So Matt, what's your thoughts of that? Because I feel like that's what the Jets wanted. Obviously, the game is tough, and we live in a world of injuries, and there's no excuse there. Zach's thrown back onto the field, and he has to just learn on the fly all over again.
Yeah, he definitely needs to just go back to sitting. That was obviously the plan there, but they just need him to be a game manager level quarterback, which you saw signs of that in the first half of the game. And then, you know, obviously in the fourth quarter, that went by the wayside. And look, I get where Jack is coming from, and from a future standpoint, like Zach Wilson has shown me nothing to think that he is, you know, the future of this team post Aaron Rodgers playing days. But if he can be that game manager, backup level quarterback for the rest of the way for this team, that should be enough for them to remain competitive. But you can't have those mistakes and those turnovers just in a bigger spot. The 3 picks is tough, and you know, I get it with Dallas having such a great defense and they create so many turnovers, and that's their bread and butter. But it's hard not to be nervous about what his game is going to look like against New England, against a team that he's always struggled against. So that's looming over my head, and I'm sure we'll get into more of this New England game coming up at some point on this show. The defense always seems to play well against the Patriots, so I have no worries about them bouncing back. But I just wonder what version of Zach Wilson we're going to get.
Yeah, and Zach Wilson, this is it, man, for him. This fan base has been grown to, not give him a long leash, and we were at all his expectations for Aaron Rodgers. He is in year 3. Let's not forget he's in year 3. This isn't, doughy-eyed rookie Zach Wilson. He's in year 3. He should be significantly better than he currently is. Yeah, I know. That's
Jack, are you trading for a quarterback, and how do you think they perform? Like yesterday, to me, I don't know which quarterback wins that.
No. Listen, I agree. I mean, as much as my faith in Zach is dwindling, I think we bring in a vet to back Zach up, because I definitely don't want to see Tim Boyle on the field at any point during the regular season. But at least an entire summer of learning this system is working in Zach's favor. We bring in a veteran right now who has to, learn everything, start from square one when we're already 2 games into the season. I think, I don't know if that bodes too well for the offense either. So we're in a tough spot, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like the coaching staff's in that tough spot too, where it's okay, it's not necessarily Zach's fault. And you can't, how are you going to justify pulling him when it seems like it's everyone else that's kind of falling apart? Even if he is part of the problem, it's you're in this weird conundrum. And I hate to say it, but I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's going to be here probably next year too, behind Aaron Rodgers. And then if it doesn't work out next year, then we're hitting, the nuclear option and everyone's gone.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm sorry, but I am not a fan that's go get Kirk Cousins. I couldn't disagree with that more, man. This is not the time, in my opinion, to trade a first-round pick for a guy who's, maybe get us to the wild card, and then we're back at square one at Rodgers. I mean, we got to unfortunately deal with the wound of Rodgers' injury and deal with our backup quarterback. I mean, you also can't expect Kirk Cousins to just come in here and just not know the offense and just expect him to just be like elite with a terrible offensive line that we've seen so far. Like, what is Kirk Cousins doing with a 70% pressure rate? Like, this is not an excuse for Zach, but let's be real here. Like, what is Kirk Cousins doing?
And are the Vikings just going to give up on their season and just trade?
I know they're 0-2,
their quarterback.
but like, come on.
That's going to be a trade that if it happens, it's because the rest of our team looks awesome and the weak link is Zach, and Minnesota is like 2-4.
And that's a perfect.
And then they're ready to go.
Ryan, thank you, because I've been seeing people on Twitter like, Steve, this team's a quarterback away, and we need to get rid of Zach. And then you see the same person respond on Twitter, and he's like, well, the players around Zach sucked. And I'm like, well, we're not a quarterback away. Like, that proves the point that we're not a quarterback away in this moment if the team around the quarterback is playing just as bad as the quarterback. And that's the unfortunate reality that we're in right now. And it's only 2 weeks into the season, so things can flip on its head immediately. But that's where we're at as you stand right now. The NY Bully comes in with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, the NY Bully. We appreciate you big time. I am not a Jets pessimist, but there's no fixing Zach. If we have any hope of salvaging this season, JD will trade for a viable quarterback and let Zach play long enough for them to learn the playbook. Get Jameis. Matt, do you want to get Jameis Winston?
Well, I mean, if we're going to complain about Zach Wilson's turnovers, how the hell are you going to trade for a guy who had 30 interceptions in a season? That doesn't make any sense. And is Jameis better than Zach Wilson? Of course, yes. But if you're going to make a move in a trade, I think Jacoby Brissett is the perfect kind of game manager for this team. I thought he filled in well for Deshaun Watson last year against the Browns. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's going to throw the ball, 190 yards. Not turn the ball over, and have a relatively high completion percentage. I think that would be more than enough. And he has experience with being a backup too. So like if he has to come in and sit behind Zach for a couple weeks before they eventually make that transition, I'm fine with that. And I think he would be fine with that. To me, I would be looking for someone who is not as boom or bust of a player. Like Jameis is the exact opposite of what you need because of how much he's a boomer bust. Zach Wilson's a boomer bust player. You're replacing Zach Wilson with a souped up version of Zach Wilson. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and another thing about that, I mean, like getting a quarterback like Jameis Winston, people got to realize, I mean, you saw the Colts yesterday. Anthony Richardson goes down. Gardner Minshew steps in and wins them the football game. Like, what makes you think that any team wants to trade their backup quarterback? Backup quarterbacks are pretty damn valuable. So, like, if you're Washington, like, why would they want to trade Jacoby Brissett? Week 1, Sam Howell got banged up, and Brissett plugged in for a couple plays and played good. So, like, my thing is about trading for a veteran, it's going to be hard to just ask a team, hey, can we have your backup to be our backup? Like, I don't think that's realistic, Ryan. Like, do you expect just, like, a team to be like, yeah, sure, you could take our backup because we don't have a backup? Like, how does that work?
Well, it's not. You're going to have to entice them to give them your backup. So you're now talking at least that 3rd round pick, I feel like, if you want to get them, because there's a 5th round pick or 4th round pick, really get the juices flowing when they, like, to your point, need the backup quarterback in there. I don't know. And trading a first for Kirk Cousins, while I'm on board with it, if it's a quarterback away and we're at week 6 and we're going to go into the bye week, like I can get behind that to some degree. But at this point, I do not want to give up a 1st round pick because it looks like we're heading towards a top 10 pick. And that has me really concerned.
We are not going to have a top 10 pick, Ryan.
I hope not. We should not have one.
We will not
this
have
team's
that.
Better than last year.
We will not have one. I will be the first to say it, and I will hopefully be right. And as you agree, Ryan. John Liv with a $2 super chat. Play calling was lame considering offensive line trouble.
Yep.
Agree.
I don't think the play calling did anything to help this offensive line.
I mean, we've said it so many times, but, 4 carries for Breece Hall, 4 carries for Dalvin Cook, 2 for Michael Carter. Obviously the offensive line wasn't exactly blowing holes wide open for those running backs to squeeze through, but for a team that wants to run the ball, 60% of the time, you can't abandon the run like that, especially in, Zach's, I don't want to say first game as the starter this year because he basically played the entire game last week as well. But, when you're game planning for Zach Wilson, because at least going into last week against the Bills, they thought that Rodgers was going to be the guy. but they've had a full week to game plan for Zach Wilson being the quarterback. And it was completely flat-footed, absolutely just zero life in terms of the play calls, in terms of the personnel usage as well. Weird stuff going on with the tight ends. I think Hackett had a questionable day yesterday, but I'm seeing people, and I've been holding my tongue all morning, man. I'm seeing people in the chat saying, fire Hackett and bring in a legit offensive coordinator. Yeah. Let's fire Hackett 2 games into the season, bring in a new coordinator. The whole team can learn a new system 2 weeks into the season. That sounds like a great idea.
The chat is on one today.
What are people like?
Welcome back to losing Mondays.
Yeah, do you guys wake up and put like idiot juice in your coffee or something? Like, I don't understand. Like, some of the I don't get it.
No.
We're back, baby. The season's back. This is when you know.
It's depressing.
When we get to see these types of things.
Did
the
we
NY
start
Bully
our
comes
mock draft
back
yet? Is that what's going
Ryan.
on?
Oh, no.
Ryan, don't you
Ryan,
dare.
don't you
How
say
dare
it.
you?
That's my trigger point. Ryan. You should have seen me yesterday. You should have seen me yesterday attack someone that said the word TANK. The NY Bully, to be fair, Jameis is turnover prone, but he just had LASIK, which could have been the issue. He can also pass for 5,000 yards in a season with 30 touchdowns.
He didn't just have
surgery.
LASIK. He had it 2 years ago and then had a pretty nice year with Sean Payton as his OC where the interceptions went down. And then last year, he started 3 games and threw 5 picks. So unless he got a second LASIK surgery, I don't think that fixed the problem.
NY Bully, I love you, bro, but what are we doing here?
LASIK.
We need Todd
surgery.
Monken.
Oh, man. All right. Well, the NY Bully, thank you for the generous super chats. We do appreciate you guys tuning in. Folks, if you're not already, please do us a favor. Simply hit that thumbs up button. We have Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7 tuning in. And we have, of course, Matt O'Leary in the Jets Media Studio as the first in-person guest of the Jets Media Podcast. Guys, if you want to support the podcast, it would mean a lot if you guys can check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and tune in and check us out in audio form. This is the 3rd episode of the brand new The Jets Media Podcast, and we're very fortunate to have Matt O'Leary being the special guest, and, of course, Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7. And check out Talking Jets, man. They're doing a great job every single Tuesday night. We got Green Bean coming up at 12 at noon as well. So we got the Talking Jets panel on today's show, and it's only right because they've been absolutely killing it. So congratulations to you boys on continuing the fine work.
Absolutely, man.
Thank you.
You guys do great stuff. I always enjoy hearing from all 3 of you as individuals, but then when you guys come together, it's like it's almost too much to handle. I get like overstimulated.
Yeah, it's great
Us
stuff,
too.
man.
Yeah, I'm not wearing pants right now.
Now, to pivot into week number 3, before we let you go, Ryan, we got the Patriots. We got the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick comes to town. What did you see from that Patriots-Dolphins game last night? And that of course, the Jets-Cowboys game that gives you any type of optimism that the Jets can go out there and win this game against the Patriots? Because I watched that Patriots game and that Dolphins game, and I couldn't stop thinking to myself, we have to beat these bums for the first time in years, man. Like, what's your level of optimism in beating the Patriots on Sunday?
I don't want to say this comes down to a must win or to a.
It's a must win.
Yeah, like I hate putting that level of like pressure on such an early game in the season, but this feels like our season's coming down to this week. And if we get blown out or if we have an embarrassing loss or something along those lines, I feel like the locker room is just going to spiral out of control. So I'm really hoping that's not the route it goes. But we got to run the ball. We got to be able to neutralize Judon. We cannot have him teeing off on Zach Wilson the way he has in the last few years. So for me, I'm running behind Becton and AVT. Brees is already upset with his 4 carries. Okay, let's feature him. Just feed him the rock constantly. Get it to him in the pass game, get it to him in the run game, and let's just see what it is. We built our team to be a ground and pound type team. So let's take the ball out of, New England's hands. Don't give them the opportunity to score. Not that I'm, afraid of their offense at all, but like, I don't know. I feel like we should be the better team, and losing to New England is just not acceptable to me, which is kind of a weird thing to say considering we lost to them like 14 games in a row here. But if things go south in this game, I do expect some type of trade for a quarterback or just a spiral downhill.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the opponent that we have on the other side of the Patriots. It's the Kansas City Chiefs coming to town on Sunday Night Football. So if we want to go into that game with any types of optimism, we have to win this game. So, Matt, what's your level of optimism heading into this one? And what do you think the game plan should be just matching up-wise against these Patriots?
While we're on the Patriots topic, can I call out something because it's got me all kinds of heated? I got Game NJ has said in the chat no less than 5,000 times, when was the last time Bill Belichick's lost 3 games in a row? You only have to go back to 2020 for that to happen. So I would look up the 2020 New England Patriots season. I think it was 4 in a row that they ended up losing when Cam Newton was their quarterback. So just wanted to toss that in there because I saw it a million times. It was getting to me. But anyway, for this game, look. You mentioned it. You got to get this stuff out sometimes. I can't just sit on it. But
therapy
with the Jets in this New England game. They definitely have to run the ball more. Only 8 carries for your top 2 backs is not nearly enough. For Breece Hall in particular, he had 10 carries and a catch, 11 total touches in week 1. That number went down to 4 in week 2. It's got to get back to double digits. I'm not necessarily saying that you got to run him 20 times a game. I don't know if he's there yet. But you have to put an emphasis on running the ball. And for the love of God, use some inline tight ends to help out with these tackles right now, especially on the left side of the line, because you know that they're going to send the pressure. Bill Belichick loves to blitz young quarterbacks and loves to blitz Zach Wilson, and it's worked for him. So you got to use extra possession, extra guys in there to block.
He is gonna be absolutely licking his lips watching the tape that the Jets offensive line just put out there this week, because I mean, come on, man. I mean, obviously the Patriots defensive front is not as elite as the Cowboys, but you know, Judon has been a top sack guy in the league for the last few years now. So you know, they're gonna get after it, and I think that, you know, I've said this multiple times. We've already proved that we can beat the Bills. I like how we match up. I like how our defense matches up against the Dolphins' offense. The New England Patriots are by far the team I'm the most scared of to play within the division. So this is, you know, I agree with you, Ryan. This is, you know, crazy that we're saying this week 3, but this is a must-win game. I mean, you like to say every game within the division is kind of a must-win, you know, but this one feels, you know, if we're ever going to flip the narrative, not only on Zach Wilson, but on the Jets beating the Patriots, it is now or never, because the Jets have never been, you know, the Jets and the Patriots have never been this close to each other, I think, throughout our lifetimes, you know, in terms of talent on the roster and just overall, you know, how good the teams are. So this is the time, man. We gotta rally. We gotta beat New England, please.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, like, a win against the Patriots is just gonna be like, forget about this entire game. 2-0 in the division, 2-1 in the season. Like, these are the games that matter the most, and I really think what we saw against the Bills shows you that this Jets football team has put a lot of effort in the offseason to go up against our division opponents. And like we saw, I mentioned it earlier, Ryan, before you came on here, those 2 Patriot games last year, I mean, we were very close to winning both of those games. We're not going to do the what-if game all over again, but it's not like the Patriots just beat the brakes off us. So let's get that out of the way. But I do want to give a big shout out to Larry with a $10 super chat. Really great job, Richie. Thank you, Larry. I do appreciate the $10 support, man. Really fortunate to have Jack as the co-host here on the Jets Media Podcast, and of course, Matt O'Leary for the first-time guest, and Ryan coming on here. It's been a lot of fun, man. Green Bean will be tuning in just a few minutes. So, Ryan, we appreciate you joining in the Jets Media Podcast, my dude. You've been killing it, and been tuning into your show tonight, of course. King Lowski, on to week 3, and it's for blood for sure. JETS. That's what I'm talking about. Jack, can you hit the JETS button for me real quick, because we need some vibes.
Top right?
Yep.
Jets.
That's what's going to be. And
We need more volume on that.
Give it some V.
Now, I don't want to be that guy to say this, but I'm going to say it. Could the Jets be a better home team? Because I think a big reason for that defensive effort against the Buffalo Bills had to do with the crowd. I mean, Ryan, I know you were at the game, and you felt that energy in MetLife, and that defense was feeding off of the crowd. Do you think that has an element to this defensive effort, and do you expect this defense to bounce back on Sunday back at home, because you know the crowd's going to show up?
Yeah, I do. I think I think they're going to take this one personal. They're going to throw on the tape and they're going to be like, yo, let's try to forget this one. Let's digest the tape, see what we did wrong, but let's try to get this one out of the memory. This game coming up here against New England, this one's 2. Like, that's how I feel right now. If you can get the one against New England, you're all of a sudden 2-1. You're feeling a lot better about yourself, and then you can kind of move forward with the rest of the season. And this one, the defense, the energy that the fan base provides, I think there's a little extra juice across the entire, team. You see the offensive line feel like they're throwing dudes around. Like, I don't think that Dallas is drastically better than Buffalo in terms of defense. But then it also makes me concerned, like, shit, if they had Von Miller, like, would we have seen the same type of thing Monday night? So I don't know. This is going to be a big litmus test for the Jets, and I think you got to come out and show out strong, because if you come out flat in a division game against New England, pack it up.
Yep. Yeah. And we won't, baby, because the New York Jets are about to go crazy against the New England Patriots and are about to win this damn football game. It's all part of the script. It's all meant to throw a negative bomb on us week 2 so we can go out against the Patriots and show up and show out. This is going to be a rough week for me, Ryan, on the roundtable. We'll see what happens tonight on the Monday night show, how we do. We got to figure out a way to still win that, even though the Jets feel like, the roundtable is going to be just counting the Jets out. And obviously they deserve it to an extent. But let's get back into this Patriots game. We talk about Zach Wilson a lot, but the one thing I do have confidence in, I think Matt mentioned it, is the defense against the Patriots kind of bouncing back. And both games against the Patriots, the Jets had 5 sacks in a game, and I forgot the other game, but they really play well against Mac Jones and that defense. So, Matt, what's your expectations from this defense, and how do you want to see them bounce back after that poor performance?
They need to bounce back in a big way, and I think they absolutely can. They have the talent to do it, and you mentioned it. The defensive line got after Mac Jones in both of those games, and I think it's a good matchup, especially when you look at the Patriots' offensive line, which is struggling a little bit right now. There's some issues there up in New England with that offensive line. So this is a perfect scenario for the New York Jets to take advantage. We know how good that the Dallas Cowboys offensive line is. That's one of their biggest storylines. We know that obviously they were missing Smith, their left guard, but even still with filling in that great left tackle, the best right guard in the game, they had a strong offensive line. So if you want to give them the benefit of the doubt against going up against that unit, fine, but that goes out the window when you're going up against New England, a team that you created turnovers against. You have to get back to creating turnovers. Defensive line has to get home, and I think they bring the heat on Sunday.
I agree. I think this is going to be a big-time bounce back for our defense. Jack, what's your thoughts about the defense, and how do you want to see them bounce back against New England?
If there was ever a time for them to bounce back, it is at home against the Patriots in what we all just agreed is pretty much a must-win game, man. The defensive line was very disappointing yesterday. I'd like to see them get after it. Obviously, historically we've done pretty well doing that against Mac Jones. I'd like to limit, I think what really killed us last year against the Patriots was the little dump passes to Stevenson, to the tight ends, those little kind of short game, either screen passes or the short game over the middle on kind of, typical drag route or something like that. That was kind of burning us last year against New England particularly. So I'd like to see that, get fixed. I think this is a great opportunity for Sauce Gardner to absolutely shut shit down, as the Patriots don't really have a standout, superstar wide receiver. I think that, this is a great opportunity for Ulbrich to get after it. I think this is a great opportunity to, just kind of get back on track after a very, elite performance in week 1 and the exact opposite performance yesterday. I think this is a great opportunity against a Patriots team that's probably the weakest it's been in, decades. So I think, if not now, when, in terms of beating the Patriots,
Yeah, and now is the damn time. I know this is going to get to you, Ryan. We got a super chat. 19 straight games, a Jets quarterback has not gotten rough in the passer call. What's going on with that, Ryan? What's going on?
It's ridiculous. I don't understand, especially and it wasn't like an egregious one yesterday, but Zach Wilson sneaks it up the middle, and I think it was Parsons came in and grabbed the face mask and turned Zach's head sideways for half a second. And it'd be like, all right, well, That would have been nice to get some kind of call. Or like the 2 hits from John Franklin Myers and Clemens had me screaming at my TV. There's no way either one of those were roughing the passer in either capacity. And it just feels like, we're just kind of the butt of the joke. And the whole NFL's in on it. And we're just sitting here like, eating our popcorn, hoping things are going to change. I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're going to have to get a stud quarterback to the point where the refs and the NFL feel like, okay, we have to protect that guy. Right now, Zach Wilson, he's not that guy. He's cannon fodder. Let's let the Wolves and the Dogs go after him. We can have all the big hits against the bad quarterbacks. But when you get a good quarterback, then you get the flags and you start getting a little more, first downs and shit. I don't know. It gets me mad. I'm frustrated.
It does. It gets me so pissed, man. It just never goes our way. Junio Rudy, thank you for the $2 super chat. We appreciate that, man. Ryan, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in, man. We appreciate you taking your time on this Monday for the hour slot. We're going to let you go now. Anything else you'd like to say? What you got cooking up this week? We all know what you got. The Monday call-in show tonight, the Talking Jets panel Tuesday night, all the other videos on your channel. But let the people know.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on. This is a blast. I really enjoyed that. We got like 300 people in here right now, and I expect 300 people to be on this AFC East showdown later on because Richie and I keep getting our ass handed to us by these fucking Dolphin fans, and I'm sick of it. So show out. We need some support over there.
And Jets fans to the roundtable, do not hide after we lost, because there's one thing I noticed at the roundtable: whatever team loses, they never show up in the chat. And Jets fans, do not be that fan base. Show up and show out even after a tough loss, because that is the fan base we are. We support our squad through the thick and thin. So Ryan, again, thank you so much. I'll talk to you later today, my friend. And anything you guys want to say to Ryan? I mean, I know you're going to see him tomorrow.
I'll miss you, buddy. I'll see you tomorrow.
I miss you.
Ryan, always a pleasure, my friend. Always great getting to chat with you, and I'll talk to you soon, man.
Take it easy, boys.
Later, Ryan. Appreciate you, dude.
Awesome.
All right, guys. We have a guest coming on next. He's going to be Green Bean, but we're going to take a quick break because we've been live for 2 hours straight, and your boys got to use the bathroom. So we got to take a quick 5-minute break, but don't you guys go anywhere, because Green Bean is going to be joining the show to give his thoughts of that game yesterday, and I'm sure it's going to be entertaining. You guys know Green Bean very well. So, guys, please don't go anywhere. I know that we're going to take a quick break, but does not mean that we're not going to still bring you guys this content. So we'll be back in 5 or so minutes. Green Bean is going to be on the other side of it, and let's freaking go. We'll see you guys soon.
Let's go, baby. Stay tuned.
BRB, baby. BRB. We'll be right back.
BRB.
We back.
We're back.
We're back, everybody.
All right, we only dropped like 80 viewers or so.
That's
Not
good.
terrible.
We'll get some of you guys back. I know they'll be back.
Well, they got to be back for Green Bean, right?
Come on.
Green.
Guys, thank you for staying put. All the 200 of you guys that stayed with us, you're the real ones.
It's amazing, man.
We
Thank you guys so
appreciate it.
much for joining us here on episode 3 of the Jets Media Podcast, featuring our first in-studio guest, Mr. Matt O'Leary. Everybody, if you're not following Matt O'Leary, check him out on social media. Matt O'Leary, NY.
New York.
Yeah. Matt O'Leary NY. Matt O'Leary, New York, baby.
Let's go.
Just want to make
doing
sure I
the
get
damn
that
thing.
right.
Yeah, thank you.
Check him out.
I love it here. I was joking that I was going to move in, but I wasn't really a joke. Was the actual.
Now you're actually kind of
Matt, if you
planning it
ever
out.
want to make your own videos here, we can bring your LED sign courtesy of Athlete Logos.
Yeah, they did a great job on your sign too. I absolutely love it. But
What I
this
do
has
got to
been great.
figure out though is the exposure issue, because on
Yeah.
camera it doesn't look too good.
No,
Like look
it's-
at it with your own eyes and then look at it on camera. Like look at the difference.
Yeah, it's a different.
I gotta figure it
is. I had to, if I remember correctly, I had to play a little bit with it too, but it's not easy. People don't realize the behind the scenes and the content game. They think, oh, you sit in front of a camera all day and talk about the Jets.
Oh,
no,
man.
it's not that
Oh, my
easy,
God.
man.
We got a ring light that's gonna
No idea.
gonna take years away from my life, or at least years away from my eyesight. We got microphones, we got mixing boards, we got sound effects, bringing in special guests, mixing audio with video and
Oh,
graphics
gosh.
and different scenes. It's a lot. So thank you guys for supporting it.
Yeah,
Appreciate it,
it's a
man.
lot, man. But all you guys in the chat is the reasons why we're able to do this stuff. So thank you guys for all the support. Please hit that thumbs up button. The goal is to get 200 likes, folks. We're at 172 likes. I think we could do better than that. If you're enjoying the show and having Matt O'Leary as a special guest, smash that thumbs up button. We're waiting for our man Green Bean to join. I think he is backstage, ladies and gentlemen.
You know, Green Bean never disappoints.
Never once.
Although now I'm putting some pressure on him.
Uh-oh. Green Bean.
Oh, my
look
God.
at him.
Look
He
how
looks
handsome.
handsome as hell today, man.
Green
Did I
Bean.
disappoint? Am I disappointing?
Not at all.
You look spick
Welcome.
and span, Green Bean.
Oh wait, hold on. I gotta turn this. I got the echo going on. Hold on. Yeah, this is the other side. This is the other side of me. You guys haven't met this version of me yet.
Corporate Green Bean.
What do we call you?
Yeah.
Corporate Green Bean?
What should you call? I guess yeah, whatever. I'm down with that. Corporate bean.
Well, Green
Corporate Bean. I love it.
Corporate
Bean, unfortunately, we're not celebrating a Victory Monday today. So the
Well,
floor
we're
is
not.
yours. Let it out, man. How do you feel about that game? Just before we get into, different topics throughout the game, I just want to get your overall thoughts. Have you had, around a night to sleep on that loss that we suffered?
Well, does 3 hours count as a night of sleep? Because if so, then yes. I had a night of sleep.
You had a quick nap.
Number one, let me say, the place looks great, Richie.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, I love the sign. That's beautiful. I love it. It's good to see Jack too. I haven't seen Jack in a while.
I know, man. It's been a while. I miss you,
Good to
buddy.
see you, man. And the idea of O'Leary being there in person, I don't know how to
I can
organize
touch
that.
him.
It's
I can
weird.
touch
Yeah,
him.
We stole him
it's
from you.
bizarre to me.
We had Ryan on before you, and Matt's cheating on you and Ryan today.
I'm sorry, Bean.
It happens. We have an open relationship.
Okay,
so
good,
we're
good.
okay.
But I made
we
sure to have
had- we
Ryan
had-
and Green Bean on while Matt was here for a
There we
reason.
go.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. That's fun. Yeah, we have an open relationship. We have agreements in place, prenups. We're solid. We're good. Let me say this, dude. That game was bothersome to me. I didn't love it. I did not have that good of a time. But I will say, I think the main thing, I have two big problems, right? There's lots of problems. Number one, I think the emotional hangover and the short week was evident. I saw it. We saw it from the first few plays. It was like they look a little sluggish. They just do overall. So I think that not as an excuse, but I don't think it should be completely ignored either. When people want to jump off a cliff and start talking draft already.
Oh, gosh.
You know what I mean? Well, let me say this. Let me ask you this real quick. Is my internet okay? Am I
Yes.
choppy? Am I shitty?
No, you're
'Cause
good.
I don't know.
The audio is fine. Video's a little choppy, but we're all about the audio here on the podcast, baby. So you're good.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Oh, yeah.
You're looking good. So, Matt, do you have any
About
questions
that.
to your friend Green Bean? I know you guys have that chemistry.
Yeah, I would like to know How bad was Jeremy reacting to all those interceptions at the end on the Talking Jets live stream? So I guess more of a question for Jeremy. He was in the chat before, but from your perspective as the host, what level of meltdown was it? So I know where to go when I'm doing my clips later from this stream.
Let me say this. I have spent, I said, what is it, 3 years now, 2.5 years working that young man. All right. So he is crafted and formed into the person that I can deal with. So his melt wasn't as epic as his elation. It was different. He knows now. I don't allow heads in the toilet during the stream. I just can't deal. There's 800 people yelling, talking about, who to fire and all this. Jeremy, I told him, wow, you can't be one of them, dude. So he was contained. He was disappointed, but he didn't melt down. So there's that. He's a good trainee. I've been
He's your Padawan
for a while now. But let me say, so the two problems though. Number one, the offensive line is in trouble, and Robert Saleh and his methodical approach, and I appreciate it in many ways. Don't overreact. Don't impulsively, jump to conclusions. I get it. I'm with it. But how long are we going to watch, and how much rope are we going to give Laken Tomlinson and Dwayne Brown this season? I'm watching. I think because Laken struggled all last year. So we're not looking at, it's the first week of the season kind of a thing. So that's a big concern. I'm real curious to see what Saleh does with that. And honest to God, I don't know what Hackett was doing yesterday. And I hate to blame the offensive coordinator. I hate it because the players play. But, dude, what is it? 2 rushes to the right? Two. Each one went for, 5-6 yards a clip? And then all the other runs went the other way, and it was garbage. And you could see it. They were just right through the line. It was as if we weren't even blocking. And that's where the fumble occurred. And it was like these offensive coordinators get into this mindset where they get stubborn. They're like, I'm telling you, my plan's going to work. And it's like, dude, it ain't working. I like an offensive coordinator that can shift gears. But let me say this, where's the wisdom in the idea of choosing the left side over the right side in the first place? So I have big problems with that. I think Zach, while he had his Zach-like meltdown at the end, I think it was kind of out of hand at that point. And I think he was betrayed on all levels. I think the kid came ready as we've seen him, as poised as we've seen him, as confident as we've seen him. And quite frankly, I thought that for the most part, he was effective for 3 quarters, at least as far he's getting passes dropped. He's running around. You know what I mean? I don't know. So I have my big issues are offensive line. And because there are solutions to it. How creative are we going to be? How willing are we going to be? And Hackett needs to fucking figure it out, man. I almost want it.
Agreed.
I even said to myself, you're going to say the word figure. Just say figure. Just say figure.
Close.
I dropped the F-bomb.
It's all right, Green Bean. It happens every now and then, man. No sweat. What I wanted to ask you, Green Bean, Zach Wilson, year 3. A lot of people are correcting me. The chat's really on one today. A lot of people are correcting me in the chat. It's year 3, but he's played this many games. It's not his 3rd. That's just making the argument worse for Zach Wilson, to be honest with you guys. The fact that he hasn't been available this whole time as well, that's just making the argument worse. But I wanted to ask you, coming into the NFL, everybody assumed there was going to be a bit of a learning curve with Zach Wilson. Coming from BYU, what's it going to be like, with that, next level talent of the NFL? We assumed there would be a little learning curve. We're in year 3 now, really have yet to see that bona fide performance from Zach that shows you what his potential could really be. We've seen flashes here and there. We have not seen one great game without a mistake. As I said before, 3 touchdowns, 300 yards. We've yet to see that from Zach Wilson. I wanted to know, in your opinion, Green Bean, does that affect Zach Wilson's ceiling? Can Zach Wilson still be, a great quarterback in this league, or after this amount of time, has he been, relegated to this, this game manager ceiling? Is he destined to be a backup? What are your thoughts on Zach Wilson? How he's looked so far, what the future holds for him in this league?
What a interesting loaded question, right?
I know
So
that's
many
that's
layers.
a loaded question. I had to give some context.
It's been a heavy topic
People
today.
have been coming
Yeah.
at me all day. I had to give the right amount of context. But I feel like I got my thoughts out there. So what do you think, Green Bean?
Well, let me say this. I don't think yesterday was Zach's fault. All right. I
Agreed.
don't.
Agreed.
Okay. So there's that. Let me start there. Not that he was able to, he's not in that place where he can pull us out of anything. He needs help, right? And he didn't get much. Even Brees dropped one, Garrett dropped one, Garrett fell down, the offensive line. There's just so many variables. But so to answer your question, I don't have much confidence in him, right? Overall, I'm looking for him to be quarterback 19 or 20 on in the league. If he can pull that together, I think we got ourselves a season, right? That's all we're asking. That is a low bar, particularly for the number 2 overall pick. But is his career defined yet? Absolutely not. Look at Geno Smith as just the most recent example. There's all sorts of ways to skin a cat. Now, will he be the guy that Jets fans wanted him to be? It's getting the window's closing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Now, right now, we get all these conversations all week about if Zach takes us to the playoffs, do you really put Aaron Rodgers back in? Like, first of all, let's calm down just a touch. Okay.
I agree.
I'm
not letting myself believe that we'll see Rodgers again this year. I just won't let
Well,
myself.
right, but either
that.
way, like let's say Zach gets us there. Look, I shared with somebody. I said, look, in the event this Jets team makes the playoffs, I have a hard time believing it's because Zach Wilson got us there.
Yeah.
It's more than likely going to be he played his role, he mitigated mistakes, and didn't kill us. So if Aaron Rodgers came back, yes, Zach is the backup quarterback. That's what he is. But does that mean he can't be great? No. I mean, you look like, again, that one ball to Garrett Wilson that he got tipped, dude, that was good. The other one was money. The touchdown. He had a lot of nice passes. Can he build on that and maybe become something solid? I think so. I think that he can. I just sounded like crackhead Bob. Do you remember that guy? You guys don't know. Anyway, I think so. But I do. That's for the old heads in the room. But I think his story is unwritten. But I'm definitely not a Zach truther, man. I think the vet needs to be in here. And if we go 3 games and we can't score a touchdown, I don't give a shit if it's his fault or not. When he's on the field, points don't happen. So get him off the field.
Yeah, and Green Bean, to follow up on that question, do you think not only Zach Wilson, but the offensive line and the offense in general was more of a nightmare because of how elite the Dallas Cowboys defense truly is? Or is that just how bad this offense is going to be throughout the season? Like, is it time to give the Cowboys with Micah Parsons, a generational talent, and that entire defense ran by Dan Quinn some credit? Or is it more like, okay, this is what we're going to see from this offensive line. They're not going to be able to protect at all. The quarterback's going to be pressured 70% of the time. Like, do we tip what's the balance of tipping the cap to the Cowboys defense, but also harshly criticizing the Jets offense?
Well, I think both can be true. I think you're correct in saying it's probably time to recognize Dallas as elite as far as defense is concerned. I mean, look at the back end. They got elite players back, with Gilmore, Diggs, and the rest. You got Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence. I mean, like these guys, this is a very Van Ness. I mean, they're stacked. Dan Quinn, who's made it to being a Super Bowl head coach, is running their defense with Mike McCarthy on the off, running the whole show, but control the offense. It's like this is an elite bunch of people. So I think that definitely has to be factored in. But even with that, you got to have an offensive line that can protect some of the time. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think we played particularly bad to a particularly strong defense.
I agree, man. I agree. And just got to give a big shout out to your Yoda poster in the back. I mean, that is awesome. What is that? Is that him like in a...
That's him as like a monk or something.
Oh, it's great.
That's the most Green
Love
Bean thing I've ever seen in my life.
Love it.
That's been in my office since, when did I get that? 2012. And then I got this guy over here. Here, hold on.
Oh,
I got this guy. Can you see him?
Go to the full.
It's hard to see. That's the Hermit. It's an artist's rendition of the Hermit, which is a tarot card, which is a lot of people will recognize it from the Led Zeppelin album Stairway to Heaven, the old man at the top of the hill with the lantern. It's a very specific reason he's there, but we don't have to do that today. But yeah.
Oh, I love it.
got a lot
This
to
is
do.
what I like to do, especially when the Jets lose. We can get off topic and talk about. Oh, we got a Bluetooth
We
problem.
got a Bluetooth
Oh,
connection in
hello.
the background.
But let's get back on topic. Matt, what was your thoughts about, what Green Bean had to say about the balance of the Cowboys defense and the struggles of the Jets offense?
Yeah, I definitely think it's kind of a mix of both here. As being a part of the problem, and it's something that we've hit on a lot today. Is it's not just one guy or one thing for the reason why they lost this game. It was a lot of things playing, a factor of it. The offensive line really, struggling and not playing well. The interceptions from Zach at the end, even though they were out of it, still, not good. And the run game not being good enough, and the play calling certainly not being good enough. I guess for Green Bean, are we on Tippmann watch? What's the deal? Are we going to see Joe Tippmann anytime soon? Did I put him in a bad spot?
You asked if Joe Tippmann is going to be. Sorry, I'm working.
I know that was bad co-hosting on me. I just said,
no.
are we on Joe Tippmann watch at this point?
Yeah, I think so. And that's what I was kind of alluding to earlier. So look, you have guys that might not be ready just yet. Tippmann, Max Mitchell, Carter Warren. We have young guys on deck. Carter Warren obviously is going to take a little bit longer, being a rookie and injured. But I think, Robert Saleh needs to be looking at his old heads and being realistic with himself and saying, okay, well, all right, Buffalo is really good and Dwayne Brown looked like shit, and Dallas is really good and Dwayne Brown looked like shit, right? Well, who's not really good in this league for you to justify the guy just can't play anymore? Now, look, you want to give him a few weeks. I get it. He had no training camp, the whole thing. But let's remember, Robert Saleh said that Dwayne Brown was going to be, quote, tough to beat when he was uninjured. He wasn't even playing. So he put that out there. Like, Robert Saleh has been bought into Dwayne Brown as his decision the whole offseason. There was never really any debate. The whole Becton left tackle thing. Robert Saleh made this decision before he knew what the hell Dwayne Brown could even do this year coming off rotator cuff surgery. So, again, I'm with it. I like a methodical approach. I like not being impulsive and emotionally based. I like all that stuff. But, dude, 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out. If Dwayne Brown sucks this week against the Pats and and Zach's running for his life because of it, you got to move back into the left, stick Billy Turner or Max Mitchell on the right. You pull Lake and Tomlinson and stick fucking Tippmann in there. Like, you got guys on deck, and then you got those scrubs waiting in the background. So worst case scenario, you just got your starting O-line coming back in. But I think at some point, first quarter of the season, something's got to be shuffled. What's going on over there? What are you guys doing?
No, I agree, man. I think I think we're on the Tippmann watch for sure. Maybe the Mitchell watch as well. I feel like, what we saw yesterday, the idea of, having veterans on the offensive line, I think might be better in theory than in practice, maybe as we saw yesterday. When you're dealing with somebody like Micah Parsons, who's just, in terms of speed, freakish, to be a guy that big and that strong, but also that quick with that type of get-off speed, you wonder, does the veteran experience on the mental side, does that really outweigh potentially, the quickness of youth that we have in Max Mitchell and Joe Tippmann? I obviously understand that, Dwayne Brown, from a mental aspect has been doing it at a decent level for a lot longer than obviously Tippmann, who's a rookie, and Max Mitchell, who's a second-year guy. But, when you're looking at Micah Parsons just dance around Dwayne Brown, you wonder, because does the youth of Max Mitchell, obviously the inexperience, but does the youth of Max Mitchell give us the advantage in a situation like that when you're dealing with just pure speed and finesse? Because even if Dwayne Brown was in the right spots yesterday, I just feel like, and the same can be said for Lake and Tomlinson, I feel like these guys didn't stand a chance from just like kind of speed alone. They looked slow and lethargic and just like, Like they were not in the same league as the Dallas defensive line. So does youth and speed make more sense at this point over, slow veterans?
I think you bring up an excellent point, Jack. I think the youthful movement of this offensive line seems to be something to be told. And I got to give a big shout out to Ryan, who sent in a super chat just a few minutes ago. Sorry, Ryan. I came in 10 minutes ago, a little late to the shout out here, but he says, I know it's said a lot, but after having Mangold and Ferguson for so many years and being spoiled, the offensive line troubles is still new to me. You got that right, Ryan. I mean, we're coming from Nick Mangold and Fergie, who were like just stones out there. Just, you knew exactly what you were getting. They're staying healthy. They're rocks. And like, this is where we're at with this offensive line. So Ryan, thank you for the $5 super chat, my man. Really do appreciate that. So Green Bean, your thoughts of what Jack had to say about the youthful movement as a time to maybe go to a Max Mitchell, Joe Tippmann, obviously. So how do they fix this offensive line? Do they stick with these 5 guys? I know we already talked about it in a little bit, but what's your thoughts?
Well, number one, what I would have done, a simple solution from me, is I would have put Ruckert over Parsons all day.
Great point.
All day. Just that's your job today. You and Dwayne Brown are going to double team Micah Parsons. I don't give a shit if you got to grab his face mask, grab his panties. I don't care what you got to do. You maul him all day long. Step on his toes, whatever you got to do. My father had a friend. He was an old Detroit or Kansas City Chiefs offensive lineman in the 70s and early 80s. And he told me that when players were having a hard time, the trick was, now you can't do this so much anymore, but when they went down in a 3-point stance, they would grab a handful of dirt and throw it in his eyes and just tell him, and he would say, now calm down today. You get that again. Like, you're gonna slow it down. We're gonna be more evenly matched, or I'm gonna do that to you all day. Anyway, but so you put Ruckert on him, number one, and here's what you do: you run the other way. That's how you take away, you mitigate the damage. Sometimes you can't alleviate everything, so you mitigate damages. Yeah. We ran at him. Now I understand running at the pass rush. I get it, but that left side, when it's the weakness, you just can't do that. You have to be evenly matched. Dwayne Brown was hopping. He was trying, man. You saw it. He wasn't sleepwalking. He was trying. You know what I mean? He was jumping out of his stance, man. He was trying, and he was just getting flat out whooped. So you got to give him some help. But I don't know. I mean, Max Mitchell, I think it's Becton on the left side. I mean, that's what I think. I think if you're going to pull Dwayne Brown, you put Becton over there. He's a natural left tackle. He's the best on the team. It's the blind side of the quarterback. You just put him in his natural position and you work it out. You work it out on the right side with Billy Turner, Max Mitchell, and everybody else. But yeah, I think to answer your question, I think the veteran thing is fantastic. But when you're 40, the veteran thing becomes a hindrance. 30, dude, how many 40-year-old offensive tackles are there? I mean, they're out there, but they're rare. One here with Jason Peters seems to never get older, but he's not even playing, but I don't know. It's like at some point, dude, you got to be honest.
No, 100% Green Bean. And like, I know we have you for just a few more minutes, so I want to squeeze this in before we let you go. Patriots, Jets, week 3. How did the Jets turn the page and get this win?
Well, I watched that game last night, so let me tell you, it was concerning the way that they came back. I wanted them to win, but they looked aggressive, man, and they didn't look like the team that I wanted them to look like this year. Let me say it that way. All right, I wanted them to be crappy. So I think what it boils down to is that we just have to not get into this whole thing where we start pouting and believing like that one game is an indicator of the whole season. Dude, we're stacked and we're badass. And you take the full week, you go into your own house, the fans are there, you're 1-1, you're 1-0 in the division, and you bloody the face of the team that you haven't beaten in 12 years. And you batter them with every single thing you have. You run Breece Hall. This idea of using our best offensive player, not named Garrett Wilson, 4 times in an entire game. It's blasphemous, So you use your strengths and you beat the living hell out of the Pats. That's what you do.
Matt, your thoughts of that?
I love that. I want to blast the New England Patriots. We're overdue. Green Bean, if not now, when for the Jets and against the New England Patriots?
No.
When the heck is it going to happen? Well, guess when it's going to happen? Sunday, September 24th on Jets Media Day, and we're going to be dancing on the field afterwards, being 2-0 in the division, 2-1, and we'll forget about this misery that we saw in Dallas. Green Bean, cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your busy Monday, man. Unfortunately, we're not talking about a W, but again, Green Bean, I really do appreciate you hopping on the Jets Media Podcast for episode 3, the first time we have an in-studio guest, and it's the one and only Matt O'Leary.
Right on, dude. And I love you guys. I'm glad we can carve out a few minutes I'm at work and I don't have more time. I'd love to just hang, but I can't. But I'm glad we made some time. Thanks for inviting me on. This is great.
Thanks for having me.
We love you, Green Bean. Always a pleasure, buddy.
Right. See
Thank
you guys
Green
later.
Bean. Have a good one, Brian.
Later, guys.
That's the legend.
The one and
Green
only
Bean.
The best.
Green Bean, corporate bean, as he's known from now on.
And now
Love
we've
him,
got
man.
into
We
the
love him.
final half hour, which is going to be probably the most interesting when we open this up for call-ins.
Oh, man, if the call-ins are going to be anything like this chat has been today, I mean, O'Leary just pointed out some nonsense that I had to read there. Wow. But we love it. We love it. We're here for the smoke, guys.
Let's do it. All right, guys, call-in segment is live, so please click that link that's pinned in the chat and have a chance to call in.
Oh, man.
Call-in show. Let's
Here we
get it
go.
going. That's who I want to see to start it off.
Let's go.
NYJ Madden. Josh is in the house. What's good, bro?
What up, Josh?
What up?
Josh, can you hear us? Yo.
Can you hear me?
There you are. What's
There
up,
you
man?
go.
Yes, sir. What's up, Richie? What's up, Matt? What's up, Jack, man? So,
How you doing?
yeah, man, it's a tough loss from the Cowboys, man. Not so good from all sides, special teams, defense, and offense. Like everybody else said, everybody can't blame Zach Wilson. It was everybody. Defense, offense, and special teams. We did not run the ball like I thought we would with Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook. That's a shame that we only gave Breece Hall only 4 carries. That's just disappointing. We need to do better with that. We are a running team and a defensive team. We need to stick to that. We need to stick to what we know. So I just hope and pray that we just be better in the future from the Patriots and so forth.
Absolutely,
man, we just gotta do better, man. And Richie and Jack, man, I love the studio, man. Love what y'all doing with the channel, man. It's
Thanks,
a beautiful thing, man. That y'all doing, man. It's great, man. I applaud y'all for it, man. Yeah, man, that's all I got now. Just go Jets, man, and look forward to more Madden videos coming out, highlights coming out for this week, man. Stay
Love it.
tuned.
Let's go. Make
Yes,
sure
sir.
to
Josh,
check
thank
out
you so much, man.
NYJ Madden. Check him out on Instagram. Check him out wherever. Are you on YouTube as well, Josh?
Yes, sir. YouTube as well. You can
Nice.
follow my YouTube.
Check him out,
NYJ
man.
Madden,
My
guys,
page.
check it out, baby. He's recreating what happens in real life in Madden. It's really unique stuff. So,
I love it.
Josh,
man, I enjoy
cannot
it.
thank you enough for the caller, and always love your optimistic,
sir.
positive approach. When I saw you, I'm like, okay, good. We got Josh to start this off.
Let's go.
Because I know Josh is
Yes,
going to
sir.
bring what we want to hear. So, Josh, again, thank you so much, dude, and I'll see you next
Yes,
week, all right?
sir.
Yeah, thank you,
Jet up.
buddy.
Love y'all.
Jet up. Love
Let's
y'all
go,
too,
baby.
bro.
There we go.
Shout out to Josh,
Before
man.
we get into another caller, I just wanted to say Josh's point real quick. I love how he said, we are a running and a defensive team, and we need to stick to that. And yeah, that's exactly right, man. Obviously, we want to see Zach Wilson evolve into the passing quarterback that we've hoped he could be. But going back to 2009, 2010, the strength of those AFC Championship Jets teams were the running game and the defense. Historically, that's where the New York Jets find success, is by running the ball down your throat and having a badass top defensive unit in the league. And here we are again with that exact same scenario. You'd like to think that Zach Wilson's ceiling is higher than Mark Sanchez's ever was. Shout out to Mark Sanchez, by the way, whose jersey I'm rocking today. But yeah, I like
agree.
that. I like that energy, man. We are running and a defensive team. Let's get back to
And we're
those
going to show
roots.
that Sunday.
Let's crush the freaking Patriots.
They better. Like we said earlier, it's embarrassing that Breece Hall only got 4 carries. I get the pitch count. I get wanting to save the athlete from himself, coming off, the injury, but he's got to get the ball more than 4 times.
That's
Without a
inexcusable. Pitch count my ass. I mean, you got to give him the ball, okay? 10 carries is the pitch count, not 4. We got some super chats to get to, and then we're getting into the next caller. Ryan, hey, shout out to Matt, man. Been watching him since his real early days when he was covering baseball in the Giants.
Ooh, wow. You are really an OG. So if we have time, I'll tell the story very quick.
Go ahead.
But the reason why I started a YouTube channel, which I think was back like either 2017 or early 2018, was because I was graduating from college. I did a college radio show, and I covered all New York sports. So I thought, all right, let me just do this on YouTube, and that's what I did for a while. But I noticed that the Jets videos were doing better and doing well. So eventually I pivoted and started covering all things just Jet specific. But it started out as me just wanting to kind of continue that New York sports show kind of approach. But Ryan, really appreciate you supporting from day one. That's awesome, man.
That's great, man.
That's sick, man.
Shout
Ryan's
out.
story is cool. Starting off with the New York sports and realized, you know what? Let's just focus on one team. And that's kind of what I did, but I kind of had multiple channels, and then I realized it's a lot to handle, and here I am. Mets Media seems to be dead, Matt.
R.I.P. in peace, Mets Media. It was a nice run.
Mets Media, man. It was tough.
Mets Media.
Knicks Media making a return for the season, though, but Mets Media,
Not a lot of off-season content for Knicks Media,
Not a lot.
but during the season, man, Knicks Media is lit.
The Jets took over my life.
Knicks
and
Media does well though.
It does, yeah. I'm not a basketball fan, but I do keep up, and I see your videos do well over there, so that's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So any Knicks fans in the chat, Knicks Media is coming up soon when the Knicks start their training camp. Euphoria with the super chat. I'm convinced Rodgers was planning to help the Jets keep their first round, planning to come back for the playoffs after an Achilles tear. Like, come on. Listen, man, the speed bridge surgery is a new innovative surgery, so we'll see if that means anything.
Stop.
And the Dolphins are having sex in the background or something like that. That's gonna get him back.
man. And he's going to use the healing powers of the frequency of dolphins mating.
Yeah.
So he's coming back week 7. And Aaron Rodgers is going to lead us to the promised land.
Why do we do this to ourselves?
Don't underestimate the power of Dolphins clapping cheeks.
Don't underestimate that, and don't underestimate the power of the mind of a Jets fan. Apparently, to be able to
What a spin
convince ourselves that these things will help us.
is planned.
Euphoria, appreciate the $5, my man. Excellent super chat. That was great. All right, let's get back into the call-ins.
Got some more calls to get to, folks.
If you want to join the show, you guys we got a lot of people tuning in. All right, we got this next caller. Andy, what's up,
Welcome,
dude?
Andy.
What's going on, guys? Hey, Richie, you guys played really hard.
Funny, Andy. Real funny. So did you guys on Monday night. You guys played hard Monday.
Andy.
We did.
All right,
We
Andy.
stick to the game plan. We also
Bills
win that
fan.
game, too.
Oh, Bills.
That happens.
Okay.
Matt is just learning you,
So,
Andy. So why don't you...
Richie,
Continue.
you said something that I agree with. You guys won't be drafting in the top 10. You'll be drafting in the top 5.
Disagree with
Who
that.
you
big
what
time.
quarterback you tanking for?
Nah,
that's
man.
what-
What
your only
quarterback
hope.
are you tanking for? Turnover machine Josh
don't
Allen
ha-
is
I don't
clearly
need to
not
take
going
quarterback.
to
I have my
not going to
quarterback.
win the Super Bowl for you guys. How many Super Bowl appearances in the Josh Allen era?
How many
Super Bowl
appearances
championships?
do you have in the last 50
How many
years?
how many Super Bowl appearances in the Josh Allen era? Since you guys have clearly been the best team in the AFC during this whole Josh Allen era, how many Super Bowls have you guys won?
I think he left.
Oh no!
Oh, wait. He's still here.